G'day everyone. Welcome to episode number 23 of the Cold-Blooded Contributions podcast. The Cold-Blooded Contributions podcast is proudly sponsored by Midwest Tongs. For over 40 years, the Midwest Tongs team has provided the highest quality snake handling tools made in the USA. Made by professionals for professionals. We're your hosts, the Ipers. I'm Ty Iper, and with me is my husband, Scott Iper. This podcast will bring to you people in the hobby who have made an impact on us creatively, be it artistically, with data, or improved our husbandry. Today, we're stoked to have with us Nick Mutton. Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good to be with you.
Excellent, mate. How's it going?
Good.
Have you, I take it the breeding season's completely kicked off up there now?
It's winding down. I mean, nothing's breeding anymore, and all but maybe one or two females have laid for the year,
So
just waiting on Bradley at this point.
So you've got the lull between actually sort of hatching, the eggs starting to hatch, and then having to start feeding a shitload of babies.
It's already starting. I've got, I think, 60 hatched. And I don't know why I do this to myself. I really, really, really like Antaresia, except feeding the babies is terrible. And so last year, I had, I think, 9 or 10 clutches of Antaresia, which is just too many. So this year I have 11 because I didn't learn. And, a couple Prothensis clutches and just, it's, I like those snakes right until they hatch. And then once they eat, they're great. It's just that, yikes. Sometimes that can be that's a bit of work.
Do you find that the Antaresia are easier to feed these days?
Mine aren't, but I've been doing this a very, very, very long time. So I've sort of like forced that issue with my own group in that most people in the hobby always hold back based entirely on phenotype. Like, that one looks great. It's like, yeah, but guess which one's going to be the worst one to get feeding? Also that one. It's like, I give a lot of weight with Antaresia holdbacks to who ate first. Like I write down every feeding and the date. So I've got the day they hatched, the day they had their first shed, and when they ate and what they ate the first time. So I'm like, my holdbacks, if you're not in the first 20% of the clutch to eat, I don't care what you look like. I only hold back ones that were good feeders from the beginning. I don't care what it looks like. I'm not holding it back if I had to assist feed it for 8 months. And over time, you get somewhere with that.
Scott's the same. I'll go by looks and Scott will go by feeding. So we sort of balance each other out.
Yeah, the best looking, the weirdo one is never the best eater. It's always the other way. Always like, guess who's going to starve themselves to death? You guessed it.
If I'm going to hold back something, the first thing has to be voluntarily. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care anymore.
Although we had this death out of one year, and it was the runt. Refused to eat, refused to drink. We were drinking it for 8 months, so obviously we held it back. Absolutely stunning animal now. Like, wouldn't have picked it either from the way he looked when he was...
Yeah, but I never want to breed from it.
But its babies are going to be terrible too, probably.
Babies are all going to be fucking terrible.
Yeah, but he's a stunner.
I think that this is a topic that might be useful for younger generation keepers because they don't seem to be aware of some of these things, is the concept that you can selectively breed for phenotypic expressions of various things. Everybody understands that, but you can totally selectively breed for good eaters or accidentally select for bad eaters. If you hold back based entirely on the best looking ones, and if they're shitty eaters, guess who their babies are going to be. You can selectively breed for less fussy eaters. And
it's
over
like
here,
it's
like
like
in Australia would be an excellent example of something like that. But over here, there's this huge market in Western hognose snakes, which I have nothing to do with because it's basically just smaller ball pythons, and all the ball python mentality kind of comes into play. And I'm done with that. But it's a snake that instinctively does not even eat mammals. It eats lizards and anurans mostly. It's like, but now, because they'll breed at 18 months and stuff, and they'll double clutch, their reproductive output is so great over time. And there's so much, the morph rat race of got to breed this and make a 3 gene and a 4 gene and that whole, like, so you're just turning through the generations so as fast as humanly possible because greed. You kind of forced the evolution of this metric in those guys. And now I put a picture in an article I wrote some years ago, and It's a 24-hour-old hognose baby. 24 hours after it let the egg, and it's just like opening its mouth, eating a frozen mouse pinky, which is the most unnatural thing in the world considering the mice we feed are European house mice. They're not even from America. Yep. They have no idea what that is, but they're just opening their mouth and eat a dead European rodent because if there's 20 babies and that out of a wild female and one will eat the pinky mouse, guess which one grew the fastest, laid the most eggs, and passed the genes along more? And the ones that didn't, and over time, you just inadvertently steer towards better and better eaters because they're more productive. They get to size faster, they get bigger, and they pass that on. So we inadvertently domesticate these things in terms of prey preference.
It's funny. I was talking to a guy about eastern hognose, the Platyronos, that don't have anywhere near the commercialism, I suppose, attached to them, right? And they're pains of the ass and things to get feeding. They don't want to eat in captivity. They stress and all the rest of it. It's just one of those things. So it just goes to show you just how quickly you can domesticate these things. And the reality of it is that some of these species that we're talking about, I mean, carpet python is a perfect example. They're effectively domesticated snakes these days in captivity. For the most part.
I'm glad that the eastern hognoses don't eat, because the hobby would just over here, they would just screw it up. They would just ruin it like they ruin everything. We can't have anything nice. Anytime there's a species complex of related species and there's a bunch of morphs in one species, you know how this movie goes. If you could get eastern hognose are beautiful snakes on their own right. They would just start breeding. You'd get like 88% eastern albinos and this kind of horse shit that the hobby always does. And then they just back cross to the point where people would forget that they're actually hybrids. Like right now, corn snakes.
A classic one for that one, isn't it?
Well, look at all the scaleless corn snakes are pretty popular in the hobby. That's kind of a big deal over here now. There's no fucking such thing as a scaleless corn snake. There's hybrids that are mostly corn snake that are scaleless because the corn snake the mutation didn't occur in a corn snake. It's a Great Plains rat snake, and they just bred it into the one with all the morphs, and now they're like 96% corn snake, and people don't even realize that's what they are, that they're all hybrids. And now you're going to get to a point where you're going to be hard pressed to even get a capture bred corn snake that's a pure corn snake, which is insane. Well, it'll just join the ranks of all the other shit that's like that over here. Like, find a pure leopard gecko that isn't a hybrid. Oh, wait, you can't. Find a pure bearded dragon that's not a hybrid. Impossible. They're all hybrids. They only exist as hybrids because they couldn't resist breeding Viticeps to Pagona barbata for no goddamn reason I can understand. They can't resist doing it. So now there's no barbata, there's no Viticeps, there's none of it. You just have one. The pet trade bearded dragon is a combination of 3 different species. It's mostly Viticeps with a pinch of the other 2, and the other, it's basically all you got.
I'm that old. I remember that when that was social suicide here. You even suggested that, and
you guys pay too much attention to what Europeans and Americans are doing, and you guys lost your minds down there too with this stuff.
Well, I mean, you see that in the blue tongues, right? Like most of the blue tongue morphs or whatever you might call it, right? You've got they are hybrids between intermedia and skincoides, right? The skincoides albinos come from 3 places, but in the pet trade, there's only one that's really being bred, right? Which is the animals that originated from Sydney, and then they were crossed into animals from intermedia, so they're Darwin northern blue tongues, and so you got a subspecies hybrid that has been put across all of the albinos and then all of the melanistics and all the rest of it, which are essentially the 2 founder genes for most of the morph breeding of blue tongues in Australia, and they're all hybrids right from the start, all hybrids. But
they never, the hobby never learns its lesson, and then at the end, when it's completely and utterly irretrievably ruined, then they will lament the fact that it's ruined. Not while they're actively doing it, despite you can tell them all day long. Right now, the coolest gecko in the world, in my opinion, Leachianus geckos.
Yeah.
From a bunch of different islands that are clearly all different species of gecko. And they're just mixing them all up. You go through right now on Morph Market, which is like, the place to sell your stuff. There's like 800 Leachianus geckos, and you will be hard pressed to find any of them that are reliably from any one island or other. They're almost all mixed.
Yeah.
And shocker, they're not the same gecko. It's like, dude, if you have a gecko that gets this big and lives on an island, it's kind of very grayish brown, and mostly patternless. And then you have that same gecko lives on a totally different island. It's half the size and has pink spots and its skull is shaped different. It's not the same fucking gecko, guys. It's a different species. You don't need a taxonomist to come through and tell you that's not the same gecko. That's it's starting to get teased apart now. And then it's going to be all your Leachianus geckos that you can never get replaced because you're never going to get imports again. They're all hybrids. Congratulations. Wasn't it worth it? Fuck no. It wasn't worth it. It's retic. Oh my God. We can't get retic blood. We've over a decade since you've been able to legally import a retic in the United States. There are at minimum 4 different species of retics. 4 at a minimum, probably more, but there's definitely 4. I finally have the whole set.
You have Philippines. The Philippines ones are different, yeah? So the Filipino ones
different. They're the one that hasn't been named, but they're the most genetically, just a matter of time. I have a pair of all 4 species, and it took me 4 years and almost $10,000 just to find pure wild type retics that weren't hybrids. And the hardest one to find was actually reticulatus. To find actual reticulatus that don't have some dwarf blood, which is a different damn snake, mixed in, can't do it. It's like you can't. It's just I don't know. I see the morph thing in the hobby has brought a lot of people in. It's because it's brought money into the hobby, and then that detracts more people, so it's made things more popular. But this spin-off downwind of it is there's serious consequences to that. If all you value are morphs and money and novelty, you lose sight of what's actually important. And then you can't get it back anymore. It's gone. Like, we're never going to get, you screw up the retic gene pool, which they've completely done, you can't fix it. You screw up the Australian python gene pool, you can't fix that. We got what we got. We're lucky. We're damn lucky we have what we have. It's amazing. Yeah. I'm amazed every day at the stuff I have. That's pretty awesome. I can't imagine, like, you know what this Brettles python needs? Be bred to a Darwin carpet. Why? Which now, because a few guys down in your neck of the woods keep posting the same picture of an albino Brettles Darwin hybrid, it's always the same damn picture too, as if like they all look like that. Now
I keep eating the fluorescent orange snake. Like I've seen a couple in person, and they are like, amazing to look at.
You can fucking have them. No, I'm
saying they're amazing to look at, right? But at the same time, all they are is a hybrid at the end of the day, right?
Over here in the United States and in Europe, if you find a Brettles python, you can be confident it's 100% Brettles python. There's been people don't really hybridize them much. It's not really a problem. If it looks like a Brettles python, it's because it is. And that is all changing like this year in mass because of the stupid albino Brettles hybrids. And a guy in Canada keeps making stonewash jags that he accidentally ended up with some stonewash stuff. Not for me. And the stonewash jag combination is frankly amazing looking. Like, it's insane because stonewash is a type of piebald and jaguar is a type of leucism. And anytime in any species where you combine those ingredients, because they're both sort of destroying the same pigment distribution pathway, you end up with this sort of synergistic freak out effect, and it just blows half the paint off the snake and looks really cool. So now I had all these like really nice hypo stonewashed Brettles this year, and that was really female heavy. And the number of people like trying to get just only females, they're just hoarding all these females. And now I'm like, oh wait, because Don Patterson set a whole box full of these stonewashed jags down from Canada,
and they're all wild.
What do you do with a 50% Brettles hybrid that's got 4 different species mixed in already? Well, obviously you want to up the Brettles blood so you get it eventually to where the normal babies just look like pure Brettles again, because they definitely wouldn't get passed off as pure if they're not, right? We've never seen that happen every single goddamn time. It's like,
but it's funny, right?
You get to 90% Brettles python and 10% a bunch of other shit, and it just looks like a Brettles python, and people want a Brettles python and they don't want a hybrid. It's just going to become that. That's what happened with everything here.
It's funny, right? You're speaking before about the retics being, for at least 4 species.
I mean, minimum.
We can throw it out there. Water pythons, at least 2 that people don't keep pure. Black-headed pythons.
I've got them all. I've got all 3 actually, but I'm like, I have no luck with the Northern Territory ones.
But this is the thing, right? So there's a western and an eastern clade of the water pythons. Yeah. There's a western and eastern clade in black-headed pythons, at least. There's probably 3 species within Wyomers. people just don't observe the things. Oh, I'll get a port headland and I'll cross it across the Tanami, but I want some size, so I'll throw a brigalow into there. In regards to the blackheads, in regards to the Weimers, in the blackheads, I want to do the really high black and white ones, but I want the size, or I want the yellow from the eastern ones, so they'll put a black and white western straight over a fucking yellow eastern. So
over here we have lines where we have some idea what things are from where-ish, and then we have some stuff we have no idea. And if I know or have reason to believe that this is this, I'm never mixing it with this other thing, like at all, ever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Not out of convenience, not for the sake of money. I lose so much money that I could make every year because I don't do these things. If I have a male or a female of one thing and I don't have the right mate for it, it doesn't get bred until I do have the right thing to vote with that. I don't care. I've got Eastern blackheads. I've got Western blackheads. I've got a couple bloodlines of Womas. They're not getting mixed. I've got Southern coastals. I've got Northern coastals. No way in hell would I put a Brisbane coastal with anything other than that. It's obviously a different snake. It's so abundantly clear that it's a different snake. Why would I do that? It's like,
and the thing is too, right? Even if you don't necessarily think that they're different species, you can maintain them as ESUs, right? As a completely different unit, and at least that way you're preserving things.
You do know, damn it, if you take that conservative approach and assume that if you are wrong, you have not damaged anything. If you, on the other hand, assume that they're all the same thing, you absolutely cause problems.
Yeah.
Look at our Sanzinia, our Madagascar tree boas, which aren't really that much of a tree boa, but they're two species. Oh, we mixed them. It's like, this is, over and over and over again, this is the case. It's like, did you need a taxonomist to tell you that there are 4 different types of chondros? Because you really shouldn't have needed somebody to tell you that. Like, it's pretty freaking obvious that these are different things. Any cursory glance at the biogeography of that region and the phenotypes, like, I think these are different snakes. They only grow on one snake because them being one snake allowed people to say, they're all the same species, so I can mix them. So and they're still playing that game. It's like the same with the scrub python, same with all this stuff. I did not need a paper to tell me that a southern white lip was not the same thing as a northern white lip. It is obvious if you've ever had them both in your hand, like 2 different snakes. They're not even built the same. The southerns are chunkier and they're more robustly built. Yeah, they're noticeably more robust in their build. They're not. It's not just that they're darker. Their build is very different.
But it's funny, right? Like, you take something like, there's other things out there that haven't been named, and lots and lots, thousands of things out there that haven't been named. But as an example, Micropicus is a pretty clear one. You look at the ones from the eastern part of the island of Papua, and they're brown. They've got black bands, dark brown speckling, and cream all over them. And then you go further west, and you've got this melanistic form, or you've got a black and white snake that's white in the forebody and black in the rear end that doesn't have anywhere near the banding that the animals from the east have. They live on a different part of the island, on a different part of the range. There's separation between them. Well, they're probably 2 different things.
There's a few, when you talked about the biogeography of like Papua, you have 3 very distinct bioregions. You've got the southern arc, everything below the mountain range, everything above the mountain range, and then the Bird's Head Peninsula. And everything, if it occurs in it's always different species. Those are always, if it occurs in the south and on the Bird's Head, it's 2 different things. If it occurs in the north and the south, it's 2 different things. North of the Bird's Head, 2 different things. It's always that. It doesn't matter if you're talking about snakes, birds, cassowaries, turtles, crayfish. It's always that. That mountain range is big, and it's and the Bird's Head Peninsula probably there's never geologic consensus when you talk about reconstructing continental drift. It's always a little bigger room. The preponderance of evidence and published work suggests that the Bird's Head Peninsula is actually not really part of New Guinea anyway. It's an island that's on the Australian plate that, as Australia has drifted north, it happens to be at this time it is kind of smashed into that dip up there, but it's actually a separate island, and so a bunch of endemic stuff on there that was there before it connected with the rest of New Guinea, which is why all these different collisions that form New Guinea put up mountain ranges where these collisions happen to keep things separate. That's why everything in the south is closely allied to Australia, because the southern bit of New Guinea is literally Australia. It's the Papuan Basin It's the leading edge of Australia. It literally is Australia. There's just some water on the lowland part in the middle got flooded, but it is literally geologically Australia. And everything north of mountain range was a bunch of islands that rifted on the Pacific plate, which is rifting east to west. Pacific plate is moving east to west. Australia is moving north, so they're hitting like this. And
8,000 years ago, you wouldn't have called it Australia.
What?
8,000 years ago, you wouldn't have called it Australia. You would have called it Saul.
Yeah, you would have. Maybe you still should. I mean, the majority of the last 3 million years or so, it's been that. It's only these brief periods where the area is flooded, where the Carpentaria Basin floods and separates things. It's why it's like why you get all these cool Australian species, and it's like, why are people surprised there's spotted pythons in southern Papua? I'm surprised there are not black-headed pythons in there. All I can figure is that Apodora probably outcompete them. Probably the only reason. Because if you look at the savanna ecosystem and that little bit of savanna in southern Papua, it's all Australian stuff. Blue-tongued skinks, frilled lizards, spotted pythons, carpet pythons. It's all this these Australian species.
Right down to things like the same species of Tenotus are there, the same species of Bellatorius are there. There's a whole heap of stuff that's very similar between the two locations.
Yeah.
And it might look a little different, but at the end of the day, right, you'd expect to look a little bit different if you've been isolated for 8,000 years from a different population anyway. So it doesn't surprise you that there's a little bit of morphological variation within those animals.
That's the thing that, like, I think a lot of people in the hobby, they put way too much emphasis on phenotype, and it doesn't really correlate at all with genotype. You can change the paint job of something pretty substantially in one allele, not even a whole gene, just one copy of one gene can completely change everything of how something looks. But if you were to genetically compare these animals, they'd be identical. There's no genetic difference at all, but one single allele is all it takes. Well, look at like a zebra morph jungle carpet. If that was in the wild, say it was an island, one of the Torres Strait Islands, and that mutation had popped out, and you have an island full of super zebras, you think, oh my God, it's on the islands, it must be a new species. It's literally just one gene. It's like blew all the paint off. That's all it is, and changed the taper of the tail, all in a single gene. It's not necessarily indicative of a deep genetic difference.
Well, there's a perfect example of that in Cryptophis incredibilis / Nigra striatus, the animal from the Prince of Wales Island in the Torres Strait. It's a species of a leopard there. Black striped snakes have got a black stripe that run down their back, right? So that's Nigra striatus. The only difference between Nigra striatus and incredibilis is that an incredibilis doesn't have that black stripe, right? And lo and behold, on an island.
It might just be literally a morph, just like morphs people breed in captivity. It pops out in the wild, but in a small island, if it provides any survival benefit at all, it'll very quickly take over the whole population. And when every member of that population has the morph, it's not really a morph anymore. It just becomes the new normal phenotype. It just could just be a single gene. There are examples of that in the wild. We see like Hog Island boa constrictors. They're just Honduran boa constrictors on an island that was rather recently connected to the mainland. But an incomplete dominant form of hypomelanism occurred on that island, and for whatever reason conveyed survival benefit. Now all the island, every single boa is the super form of this hypomelanistic gene. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just that simple. It took over.
So we probably need to get this back on track because we're very quick to go off to the side. We sort of knew this was going to happen, didn't we?
I think I've known you a better part of 20 years. You probably suspected this might happen. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was perfectly comfortable with it, but Ty does really try hard to make sure that we try and follow a format because the pair of us, we're going to struggle. So where did you grow up, mate? And how do you think that's affected who you are?
I was born in Hawaii, but I moved to Spokane, Washington in the Pacific Northwest when I was about 5 or 6 years old. So
you went from somewhere that was nice and warm to...
Yeah, but I was right at that age where I have almost no memory of that because it was too long ago, just a few fragmentary memories where you're like almost like a picture in your mind, just the most minimal memory of that period of my life. In terms of my career choice, it probably helped me in that there's nobody around here who I live in a, I don't, if you lived in like Southern California or in the East Coast, there's a lot of people into reptiles. Most people meet somebody and that person becomes their mentor. And that's how they kind of get their gateway into the hobby. But I didn't have that because there just isn't that many people into this around here in the Northwest where I'm at. And so for me, it was books. I was always interested in that kind of stuff as a child. And so books, and I read and I read and I read, and that influenced me a great deal. So I don't really have a herpetological mentor, but my mentors are like Dave and Tracy Barker's Pythons of Australia or Ross and Marchek's Reproductive Behavior. Those are the things that I'm where I am now and doing what I do because of those books. And Robert Spracklin's book, Giant Lizards, the first edition. I love that book. Like just, getting in the hobby and looking at these pictures, just like, oh, look at these amazing animals. And that's what inspired me because there wasn't a lot of people around.
Well, Rob Spracklin's working on another book now at the moment. He's putting things out there saying, oh, I'm doing this and all the rest of it. And looks like it's going to be a pretty incredible book by the amount of anatomy that he's putting together and all the rest.
He's a nice guy. For a few years, he actually lived in Oregon, not 300 miles from me, but I would go to the reptile expos 350 miles away in Portland, Oregon. And he would actually be there, so I got to talk to him a few times and stuff. It's kind of cool to shake his hand because he was kind of like inspired me by writing that book. I never met the guy before that, but that book inspired me. We're seeing pictures of sailfin lizards and just like a baby Dumerals monitor on the first edition had a baby Dumerals monitor on the cover. Like, it's so amazing. He's got a really good writing style in that he's technically correct, but he sort of dumbs it down to a point where a lot of people can understand it. So it makes it very accessible to a wide range of people. I think there's value in that. I think that, and this is a criticism I have of academia, in that a lot of academia is just is by academics for academics. It's like they don't. Well, you're like in the same boat as me. You have read copious amounts of papers and things like that, but they're not written for a lay audience. They're written for other academics, and it's like I think there's an important role we need more science communicators who take that information and bring it to people in a form that they can understand and expose them to these ideas and concepts and stuff in a way that they can actually get their brain around instead of just being overly technical. So
it's a hard line to walk though, because you're going to lose an audience either way. You, so to speak, dumb it down for the average person and the academics are like not bothering. And it's too technical and it is harder to understand. It's a fine line.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you can walk that line, right? So, like, you can use the term fecundity or you can say clutch shots. Right.
I tend to do both. I'll use like the technical term, and the first time in whatever book or whatever, I'll kind of define it in parentheses or whatever, so anybody doesn't know what that word is. And then after that, look, I already told you what this meant. Like, I go on. It's like I think that for me in my writing style, I want to be closer to the academic style, but have it still be accessible. I want it to be challenging for a lay audience, but still be able to get their brain around it. You might have to read a paragraph twice. Oh well, you will understand it. It's not so far off the deep end that nobody can understand it. It's to try to, what's wrong with challenging readers to use the right terminology?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't disagree. But at the same time too, right? It's a challenge sometimes to read certain papers. Certainly, I don't know about you, but sometimes certain papers I have to read 2 or 3 times before you really understand the genetic side of it, or particularly if it's very heavy in its wording, or it's something that's not quite in your typical wheelhouse.
So you're 2 and 3, and I'm 5 and 6.
It does become that way, but at the same time, it is work to read those things.
But it keeps your brain active, though. You're constantly learning.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Every paper I've ever cited, I've had to read at least probably 3 times. Like, it's to really sink in. I mean, once in a while you get those like blessedly short and concise ones. They're like, oh wow, and you're surprised. Usually it's a bit of a slog.
Nice little herp note or something like that. That makes it nice and easy when it's like that. But yeah, when it's something a little bit more in depth, it can be a bit of a pain in the bum.
We reviewed a book.
I'm fortunate that I have several friends that are academics. I have several friends that are geneticists, which is weird to have multiple friends that are geneticists. I think I have 4 friends that are geneticists. It seems like a lot of geneticists to have. You can just call up. So if I'm a little unsure of something, or sometimes you read a paper and you're like, is this bullshit? Because sometimes not all papers are that good, really. Sometimes they kind of take they get out over their skis a little bit. And I'm like, sometimes like I've been known to run stuff by friends and everything and have a better background in that for whatever particular area and like get their thoughts on the methodology. And there's some papers dealing with the stuff I deal with that have very big flaws in the methodology that they used. And that matters to the results, sometimes makes the results useless. There's several papers where like, they misidentified a bunch of samples clearly. And it's like their results are then everything's fucked up after that. You can't,
I think too, the other part of it is that you need to, maybe get more samples sometimes rather than jumping to a conclusion on this is different or this is different, or get some more samples, particularly at contact zones and stuff like that, and actually determine that they are different or determine that they happen to be the same thing, but this particular population might have some interesting morphology or whatever the case might be. So.
Yeah. They make weird arbitrary decisions. I've noticed a trend like where they'll not name a species that obviously should be named because, well, we don't know if they hybridize at this point with this other thing. It's like, since when does that ever even matter? It doesn't matter at all. Like that's a non thing. Like it doesn't matter if 2 different species hybridize in the wild. That doesn't say anything about the validity of them being species, like at all. Because last I checked, we're all Homo sapiens still. We're not Homo sapiens, but we're all hybrids, aren't we? We all have.
Well, we've all got different percentages of Neanderthal genes within us, and all the rest of it. So
some more than others.
What?
I said some more than others.
People of European ancestry have 2 other archaic hominid species, and there's at least 4 archaic hominids that are in the modern human gene pool in various places. There's a couple ghost lineages we don't even know what species, but that's a thing. It doesn't invalidate us being Homo sapiens. It doesn't matter. So why is this a metric that we're not going to name these because we don't know if they hybridize, even though that's not even worthy of it. Who cares? That'd be interesting to know if they did, I guess. It doesn't speak to whether or not they're species or not.
Yeah, for sure.
What actually got you into reptiles, Nick?
I was always into catching bugs and stuff. I went to a private school in elementary school. My mother managed at a college. My mother managed the college bookstore, and there was like a private elementary school there, and it was on a bunch of acres, just out in the pine forest and whatnot. And so at recess, you go at lunch, and you're in kindergarten or whatever, you just go wander through the woods, catching garter snakes and gopher snakes and black widow spiders and all this kind of stuff. So I was always into catching that kind of stuff, and my dad was pretty lenient, I guess. So I had little anoles and there's various toads and just like and my mom a turtle. I always have like weird little reptile pets. And then there was that moment when you're like a young adult and you live on your own now, and you have that light bulb goes up, like I can have any crazy pet I want now. I got a green iguana, which turned into 5 green iguanas, which then evolved into increasingly less common species of iguanas. And then I got monitors, and then I got a reticulated python was my first snake. Bad choice for a first snake. But this is kind of, and then on it went, and
So, how did you get to carpet pythons?
Dumb luck. I drove with some friends who were into reptiles many, many, many years ago, probably 1994, so 30 years ago. And 30 years ago in the United States, the largest reptile expo on the entire West Coast was in San Diego. It was a huge deal. We drove 31 hours of driving, I guess like 3,000 miles all the way, because I'm almost in Canada, all the way to basically Mexico. Actually, we went over the border into Mexico. That's how we literally went to Mexico. Went to that San Diego show, and I had a little bit of money to spend. I was going to get something cool, something new, something not as common. And it was between short-tailed pythons and carpet pythons. And I just, for whatever, it could have flipped a coin. It could have been the exact opposite of a carpet python. best decision ever to go with carpet pythons, mind you. But I know that it's just I got my first carpet python there, and then I tracked down a male to go with that female, and then keeping becomes turns into breeding, and then it just starts that long incremental snowball to where you've got so many snakes you don't have time to go to work anymore.
Yeah.
What do you keep now?
Oh my God, you gave me the full disclosure. I was given a cheat sheet of questions that might come up. What all of you keep? So I've compiled a list on this.
Well done.
Jesus, you'll be able to tick them off. As you go.
I currently keep, not counting lizards. I do have 4 species of lizards, but who cares? I've got some iguanas. I've got 3 types of geckos that are just more pets than anything. But I keep 61 species of snake. And that is spread out over, in pythons, I have 40 separate species of python. 40.
Jesus.
Which is the overwhelming majority of them. I've got 9 species of boas, 10 species of colubrids, and 2 Aracene snakes, which, as Scott knows, are not really actually true boas, but everybody calls them boas. But I kept them separate. So 1 New World Aracene and 1 Old World. But 40 python species. But some of those species people wouldn't recognize because they haven't been named yet. So
okay. Yeah.
Among there's an undescribed Antaresia, an undescribed Lyaeus, and 3 undescribed Cymalias, and 1 undescribed Malayo-python. But I'm keeping them safe. I know they're different species. They will be different species. They already are. It's just waiting for somebody to do it.
I think the reality of it is until we apply a moniker to it, doesn't change the fact that it's a different species.
No. Whether or not it's like whether or not you can see something, it's still there. It doesn't matter. If you give it a name, it's like it's like the data that shows the eastern and western clades of water pythons. That's like 20 years old. We've done it for 20 years. Yeah. No one's bothered to do anything about it. The scrub pythons, that's an ongoing thing, but it's abundantly clear there's a lot going on there. There's all these things. Keep it all separate. So I have a long running competition with my buddy Ryan. So over who's bred the most species of python, and we have the same list. We're counting all these ones that are not yet described, but we know will be described at some point, and so we're up.
So are things like imbricata and Ompelli's being kept over there these days?
No. Well, I can't say no categorically.
The weird Czech Republic thing hasn't happened yet.
It'd be super arrogant of me to assume that every single reptile, someone would send me a memo about that. It's possible there's something I don't know about. Generally speaking, though, if somebody has something super rare and valuable, they'll try to sell it to who they think is going to give them the most money. And oftentimes I'm that idiot that they think, Nick will give me a bunch of money for this. Which I'm not going to. And that's not happened. I've not heard any whispers, rumors, rumblings of anything like that on either of those fronts at all. I mean, on Palensis, it's cool. I don't know. It's not. I want it because I can't have it, if that makes sense. But if I can have it, I don't know how. It's another big ass snake. Imbricata, at this point, I bred every single thing there is in Morelia. And Morelia should not contain green tree pythons at all, full stop. You could print that. It should be just those carpets and maybe roughies. But now I bred every single thing except the one.
except
for the one. And it's a good one, too. It's one of the most distinctive. I think some of those imbricata, man, they vary so much.
But there's an eastern and a western version of them, too.
Some of those, you see pictures like, holy crap, they're beautiful. I just would hate to see a morph pop out in the imbricata or people put those into the genetic sausage grinder.
Not that commonly kept here, so I think that's
probably good for them. It's probably for the best. It's like people would just try to make a silver peppered, imbricata or whatever dumb short-sighted thing. I think they're so cool. I went all the way to Western Australia to find one and didn't find any. Found one smashed one on the road. That was it. And it was
certainly when we were over in WA a couple of years ago, we were looking at some of the stuff in the captive market over there, and they're certainly starting to line breed for pattern and all the rest of it. So they're doing some polygenic stuff there, but they haven't popped out a weird one yet. So
I think that, I mean, this is always getting off track, but it's my current soapbox. Every time I get on a podcast, I start screaming about why morphs suck, and then I breed a bunch of morphs. I'm very conflicted, but I just feel like too many people in this hobby have lost their damn minds. They have lost that appreciation for the natural beauty of these animals and what they're supposed to look like. If you can't appreciate, you can like an albino Darwin. I got a bunch of them. They're pretty cool. But if you can't appreciate how cool a normal Darwin is, you've lost the plot entirely. Like, I mean, it's not, a morph is not better than the original animal. It's just different. It's a novelty. Novelties get old. It's like, you should be able to always be able to appreciate the natural beauty that these things inherently have. And if it has to be 9 different morphs for you to be interested in, you're probably not really into snakes. You're into morphs. And that's different.
Look at a Pilbara Death Adder, right? A melanin, the dark form of a Pilbara Death Adder is among one of the prettiest snakes on the planet.
Pardon? Are you all right?
I like dark snakes. I'm right there with you. But I like Death Adders too. Like, that's one of my favorite all-time Australian snakes. Like, in all my travels, fortunately, they're really commonly found in the road in the middle of the night. It's like, I have found so many Death Adders. Like, I always think it's some Antaresia. Nope, another Death Adder. And I like them a lot. I think they're gorgeous animals.
But I suppose the point is, right, is you've got this snake that is almost fluorescent orange, burnt orange, and then it's got these beautiful coal black bands all the way across it. And it's like, how do you improve the look of that? I'll have it's got more black or it's got more orange or whatever, but then you're just changing something that was already perfect to begin with. Like a red-bellied black snake is an amazing looking snake.
More people will never be happy. There's no happiness to be had in pursuing that because it never ends. It's like, what do you do if you're in a make it Australian centric. If you're a morph carpet guy and you've hybridized everything to the nth degree, combining every morph you've got, when you make your 3 gene triple recessive, snow, silver pepper or whatever, are you happy? For about 30 seconds. You get about 30 seconds of happiness because then you're thinking, well, now I got to add this. Now I got to make it a hypoxanthic snow. Now you're never happy because there's never any end because you're never just like, that is beautiful. I'm done. There's no finish line. It has to be more. It's like,
and that's okay too, right? Like if that's what sort of ticks your box and makes you happy, that's fine. As long as you're not doing it to the detriment of the animal. Look, at the end of the day, right? It's a snake in a fucking box.
I just don't understand.
It's not for me. I'd rather look at a wild snake and
perpetually
appreciate the beauty of it.
Never happy. Always trying to get to some finish line, but the minute the finish line is in sight, you just move the goalpost down over here, and you never get to stop running. It's like it's this endless race that you can't win. Like, I look at my gelatin carpets. I'm like, I can't believe I actually have gelatin carpets. That's the coolest damn thing in my whole collection. I look at those, I'm like, there's some right behind me, like some babies. Like, I just love that I have these things, and they're beautiful and perfect, and I'm thrilled. And I don't need them to be an albino. That's not.
I think that's the difference too with someone overseas having our animals. We are that used to them, and we have, so shall we say, a limited pool of animals, really, of what we're allowed to keep.
Yeah.
And you're fortunate though that you have all the cool ones. If you were into pythons, you could not be in any better place. Like, most of them are there, and most of the coolest ones are there. Like, it's.
But I think it's the grass is always greener on the other side. It's like this isn't changing anytime soon at all.
Oh, look, I mean, at the same time, right? I don't particularly like cobras or anything like that, but I love mambas. Right? I'd love to work with mambas. I'd love to work. I know Ty would love to work with vipers and stuff like that as well. And there's certainly some vipers that I'd love to work with too. But at the same time, it's like, I'm sure once you get there, you're like, oh, is that what it's like? Oh, okay, fair enough. And at the end of the day, right, it's just another thing that you're cleaning shit out of a box for.
It's just like you said, Ty. It's like, and the guys that have all the cobras and mambas want inland taipans, and they want that stuff. They want the stuff that they don't have access to. I don't know. Maybe it's just human nature to want what you can't have.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So what's your favorite species to work with?
Brettles.
Yeah.
After 30 years, it's not gone away at all. Like I remember looking at the Barker book and just thinking to myself, I would literally murder a hobo right now to get one of these snakes. I would kill a hobo, no questions asked, to get my hands on it because they were not available. This was in the very early 90s. I was just getting the hobby. Looking at that and like rough scale pythons and then in the late 90s, I actually got some Brettles pythons, which was a huge financial lift for me at that point. They were quite expensive. And I just love them. They're perfect size, perfect temperament. They're indestructible. If you want a pet python, it's the best pet python.
They are probably the perfect size as a pet too, right?
Yeah.
They've got a bit of size, so they've got that impressiveness to it. They eat like absolute champions. They can handle the cold. They can handle the heat. It's fluorescent orange with black and white tipping. Like they're a beautiful snake, and 99 out of 100 are some of the best natured carpets that are out there. You know, like fucking a lot of the others are bitey fucking things. Brettles are usually really, really good.
I'm constantly getting people like, oh, how's this one's temperament? It's like, unless I say otherwise, it's mellow. I'll note otherwise, not mellow. It's like the default position is relaxed. That's the default. It's like there's occasionally an exception to the rule, but the rule is to be mellow.
That question is sort of, for me, eye rolling. Does it bite? Well, everything can fucking bite. Like, it's an animal.
It's usually, and I shouldn't be flaming people who buy snakes from me and whatnot, but it's like, it's always the same people that ask, like, what's its birthday? It's like, I don't know. You're going to go to a party and give it a little hat and streamers? Like, what's its
We're
birthday?
getting into Western Hognose territory now.
I have that written down, but at no point is it ever valuable information. Like year maybe, but like if it hatched on July 15th versus July 25th, does that make any difference at all? None at all. Like
I'm curious. For example, here I can remember when mind blank. Sorry, I'm not usually up this early on a Saturday morning. Roughies were an arm and a leg,
22,000,
like mortgage sort of money, and now they're like a $200 snake. Over there, what has been the most expensive Australian python, and how much has it come down in price?
What are roughies sitting at now over there?
What are they now? I think they're about $2,500 US a pair. I think.
Yep.
I breed them most years. I never look at the pricing because I try not to worry about that until I actually have something that's feeding and I'm ready to sell it. Then I'll worry about what to charge for it. Get stressing out about, oh my God, the market price is coming down. Like whatever, I'll figure it out when I got something to sell. Not even gonna bother to look. So I don't know what people are selling. If anybody's got any from 2025, what they're going to be doing. And at this point in my old age, I don't even care what they're doing. I'm just going to put what I want for mine and whatever. Not even going to worry about it. I'm not going to play that game. I don't do the race to the bottom thing with people. So much.
Yeah, we're sort of the same in that regard, right? We'll sell stuff at the price that we sell it for, regardless of what someone else thinks that this particular thing's worth. We sell it for this price. If you want to buy it from us, this is the price it is. If you don't want to buy it from us, that's fine. Go somewhere else. I don't give a shit.
Isn't it liberating being a hard ass? Like when they like, will you take this? No, like this is what I want. Like you give me this amount of money and this much more to ship it to you, I will give you this snake. Anything other than that is no. Yes. I'm not discounting them just because you feel like you should get a discount. I'm not. No, I don't care. Yeah. Like I'm not selling you. Oh, do you have any like female holdbacks you'd let go of? Fuck no. Why would I do that? Like, no. I held it back for a reason. Like, yeah, I feel like saying like you get that all the time too, don't you? It's like, oh yeah, I keep a secret stash of my very best females and I raise them up to almost a breeding size for lazy
someone I don't know.
I don't want to put any work into anything, and then you can just have one. Like, no, get a baby and get in line like everybody else.
My favorite is I want it feeding. I don't want to pay. I want to pay an unfeeding price. Oh, hang on, something's come up and something's come up and something's come up. So we end up holding on to it for another 6-8 weeks. It's feeding by that time, and then all of a sudden they're ready to take it. That one makes me want to strangle them.
I've just become completely intransigent in my old age. Like, this is what I'm doing. And if you want to buy a snake from me, this is what you're going to be doing. It's like,
Yeah.
I am going to feed these babies mice. I don't give a shit if you think they should be eating rat pinkies. There's a million reasons why you shouldn't be feeding them rat pinkies. And I'm not even going to, this is what I'm doing. It's like, this is what I want. I ship on these 2 days a week. I don't ship on other days of the week. This is the way I accept payment. I'm not doing this. It's like, it's not that hard. Like, I find that I lose very few sales by being a hard ass, but I don't know. There's something about, I don't know. I doubt it's any different down there where people are just feel so entitled a lot of times. It's like, I would like a discount, and I would like free shipping, and I would like you to deliver it to me, and I need 6 months to pay for it. And it's like, no. Like, that's not how any of this works. I'm not doing that. Or somebody just put on the screen like, let me go ask my wife.
Yeah.
They're trying to beat you down on all these concessions, and then if you say yes, let me go ask my wife. It's like, no.
Oh, that is the quintessential tie kicker, and we've got a list for that, right? It's called our shit list. Basically, Ty put it together, and it's like, right, okay, we get people that tie kick. That's fine. You can tie kick us once. We have no issue with that. We just won't fucking sell to you again after that. So
yeah. I'm like, I can only assume that your experience is very similar to mine, and we have a kind of a common perspective that most people in the hobby don't have, and that you guys have published a number of books as well and things. So you must get this, where you get people who set the scene, where someone who you do not know, they are not your friend, they are not your customer, they're not your family member, they are a complete stranger who have no connection to you at all. They never bought a snake from you. They're never going to buy a snake from you. They went out of their way to buy a snake from somebody else who wasn't you, but then they want you to explain in crazy in-depth stuff to them that they could have just read one of your books and got that information, but they would like you to personally deliver that information to them as if your time is worth nothing. Like, I'm like, I get like, the number of times I get people like
that, we go, can we have a digital copy of the book because we don't want to pay for it?
There's no digital copy of anything I've written because I'm a total pain in the ass and I don't want to do that. I didn't work that many years to write a PDF that somebody can just steal. It's like, if you can't spend like $60 on a 600-page book. It's like 600 pages. It's over 600 pages. It's like, it's all in there. Why did I write this book if I'm just going to random people I don't know and just answering questions? Hours. And it's never like a simple question. Like, it's always something really what they think is simple, but the actual answer is like, how big will this get? There's no answer to that question. It's like, because most people in the hobby don't know what indeterminate growth even means. They think that there's a magic point where your carpet python will stop growing. Nope. There isn't at all. At the point that you fed it to the point where you killed it, it died young because it was too big, that's the point. But short of that, oh my God, I knew a guy that had a pair of 10-foot Tannenbar pythons. 10 foot, or that big around. I had a male Tannenbar python that showed interest in reproducing at 250 grams in the diameter of my pinky. He was this long and ate hoppers, and he was trying to breed. And the male that did breed successfully that first time for me weighed 500 grams and was this big around. And the female weighed 800 grams and laid 8 eggs at 800 grams. Then why the fuck are these snakes 10 feet long? It's like, they're obviously not supposed to be that big. They'll keep growing if you keep feeding them. People get in their head.
You see that in, the local carpet pythons around here, right? You'll get carpet pythons around here that can get to 11, 12 feet long, right? Do you usually see a 12-foot carpet python now or an 11-foot carpet python now or anything like that? No, because we killed them all. They've all been hunted out and all the rest of it, right?
It's not only that, they're in bare minimum.
To get that big, that snake that got to be 10, 11, 12 feet might be 35 years old.
Yeah, I'm going to say 50 plus
probably
years.
An ancient snake that just never died. It just kept eating and slowly lived a very long life and you see, crocs are like that. You get up north, it's like you get truly massive crocs, but they're like 80 years old. They're like, they just get that big quickly. They just lived a long time, and eventually the lucky ones that live a long enough time can get big.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been really harping on trying to get people to understand the concept of what a healthy adult size is, because there's no such thing as a maximum adult size. It literally, in point of fact, doesn't exist. What's a healthy adult size where your snake can live and eat and reproduce and live a normal life expectancy, live 20, 25 years or whatever, a healthy adult size? Because if you get to the upper limits of size, reproductive fertility, fecundity, and lifespan go in the toilet. You don't,
it puts pressure on things. It puts pressure on the muscles. It puts pressure on the skeletal system. It puts pressure on basic physiological processes, right?
Yeah, so the heart has to work way harder to pump blood to this giant body, and just the effects of being big. And it's the same in humans.
You look at that. It's confounded in reptiles too, with the physiological change that goes through a snake when it eats. The change in the blood and all the rest of it, it completely changes the chemistry when a snake actually eats. It changes the enzymes, change the thickness of the blood. There's all of these changes that go through, so the body can actually start processing this meal. And that's why you see animals drop off the perch if they haven't eaten in a really long time, and you feed it. It's an animal that's emaciated and it's already under fairly significant physiological pressures and stress, and then someone gives it this big fucking meal, and they wonder why the animal fucking dies. That's why. Because
that's what people. I've tried to explain this for a long time to people. You see it with babies a lot, but the baby that doesn't eat, it's never eaten its whole life, and you can't get it to eat, and it starts wasting away, and it's losing weight. It's just in a shitty condition, and then at the last second, it finally decides to eat, and then it's dead the next day.
And they give it this fucking massive meal too.
Yes.
I'll give it 3 pinkies. No.
Yeah, it's like that. They have to read. They don't realize that their heart literally is not and their gut is not the same size at all times. Their gut will atrophy when they're not eating to reserve calories, so they don't just keep the calories going to maintain it. And so they have to direct blood flow away from their organs, like their heart, to their gut to expand the gut to digest a meal. And if you're super, super weakened and you direct blood flow away from your heart to your gut, you just have a heart attack and die, and it literally kills them. It's like if you, in that situation, like little meal, just something insultingly small, and it's like.
But we do that as our first feed, right? Whenever we're bringing something out of cooling, right? Because they do atrophy to a point, right? We give them a really small meal. Yep. And then we give them another slightly larger meal a week later or 4 days, 5 days later, right?
Exactly what I do.
Then once it's 3 days, once it's gone through 3 feeds, then you can go back to your typical size meal.
That's exactly what I do. And this is one of those things that us old timers probably all mostly know, but a lot of the people listening to this are not going to realize that. Like when I bring my Brettles out of brumation every year, it's like a weaned rat, which is nothing for an adult female Brettles python. And then it's like then a little bit later, it's a slightly larger rat. And it's like by meal 3, 4, then we're getting back to a normal size meal, easing the mac out of it. The apparatus is fired up. Don't just start out by feeding it a guinea pig or something.
I've tried to explain it as, think about how you feel. Imagine, like, say you've been sick or whatever for reason, you haven't eaten for a little bit, your stomach's shrunk, and you feel like shit when you have a big meal. So you need to ease your eating habits back in. And the response I usually get is, it's a snake, it's not a human. And I'm like, well, I don't know how else you're going to get it then. If you can't put yourself in that position, so to speak, to a certain degree, you're not going to understand why you should or should not be doing what you're doing.
People are very impatient now. They want instantaneous results. But snake needs food. I'll feed it more food now. Everything goes faster. It's like, nope. A lot of times it's slow. There's so much wrong with the way a lot of people keep stuff now. And a lot of it is just simply greed based. I've got this new whatever, and I want it to make babies as fast as it possibly can. So we've sort of institutionalized this overfeeding thing where now the worst people are like over here. You don't have ball pythons in Australia, at least above board anyway. And we know they're there, right? But this idea that like male ball pythons are reproductively active at 6 months old, and that females should all be reproducing at 18 months old, which is insane. That is what people now over here think is normal. If you had a female ball python can reproduce at say 1,500 grams. If you're selling a yearling ball python female, and it's a female, and it's less than 1,000 grams at 1 year old, people are like jumping your shit because you haven't been feeding it enough. Like, what you lost your freaking mind? Like, are you kidding me? And that's just what they think is normal. Like, that pythons are supposed to be breeding at less than 2 years old. Like, that's never going to happen naturally.
Well, what's that happen? How has that changed now in, say, ball pythons, right? Male ball pythons are breeding at what size and what age? Like something ridiculous like they're breeding at 6 months of age now or something like that. I have
a friend years ago who bred one, and I think it was 49 days old.
Fuck.
And it was 250-something grams. It was like 49 days out of the egg. It was a situation where, like, plans A, B, C, D, and E males, none of them would do anything. And he just, like, on a whim, and the damn thing did it. I'm just thinking, like, pushing things that hard. These also, like, a lot of these guys, they'll do with, like, if they want to get some male or whatever, or even a female up to size super fast, they feed them rat pinkies every single day, like 7 rat pinkies a week. Every single day you feed a rat pinky. It's a perpetual influx of calories and a conveyor belt of calories, but it's not large enough to ever trigger a shed. So the snake doesn't really shed. It just grows that whole time, never even having to slow down for a couple weeks to shed. I mean, this is not healthy for the long-term health of these animals to do this.
But well, I think that's the other part of it, right? You hear it and they go, "Oh yeah, my animal did really well. It lived for 8 years," and like
they think that's a normal life expectancy. They literally think that 8 years is like somehow not that's fine. Like, I've got my Queensland water pythons are 20 this year. They're 2005s. I got them as little tiny babies. They're turning 20. They're fine. I only breed her like every other year because she's 20 years old, but she'll probably go again this year for the umpteenth time. And they seem to be vigorous, and I don't know how long they'll live, but I figure anything, if I get to 20 years, that's fine. Like, I'll say, I was like, I'm not going to be mad if it dies after 20, at some point past the 20-year mark. But I have I think the average age of my breeder carpets is probably 12 or 13 years old is probably the average.
Yeah.
Some are up to 20, and some are a bit younger, but they're mostly well past 10 years old, the majority of them.
Yeah, I think we grossly underestimate the longevity of a lot of our reptiles, that's for sure. So, but at the same time too, right, you can have things bred at a young age that it just blows your mind. Like, we had Cunningham skinks pop out. We had the little melanistic woodland form, and we got those as babies, kept them outside in a pit. At 10 months of age.
Oh, younger than that.
10 months? 8 months.
I thought they were about 6.
So 6 months. Well, no, they must have been 10 months of age when they produced the babies.
I don't think they were. I think they were younger, eh?
No, I'll have to look. I'm sure it was 10 months. But
we were both shocked, like really shocked.
But regardless, right, live bearing skink, born that year, produced that year within 12 months. Right. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's a live bearer that's producing a litter of babies within anywhere between 4 to 6 months of age. It's producing embryos to go through, like, absolutely fucking insane.
Pretty strong correlation between what trophic level in the ecosystem the animal occupies and its reproductive output over time, with the animals at the bottom, at the lower trophic levels, reproducing faster, younger, in larger numbers, and they kind of live fast and furious lives. They crank out a shitload of babies because they're getting eaten by other things. So you look at, like, I've had Antaresia breed. I had a Stimson's python bred 13 consecutive seasons, and I just retired her. She wasn't dead, and I just stopped breeding that snake. Like, I know of a children's python that laid, I think, 19 or 20 clutches. And again, wasn't dead, but it just like, all right, you can be done now, kind of a thing. But they're little tiny snakes that never, even the adults get preyed upon, their babies get eaten, so they just crank them out. And then you get to things like scrub pythons that, would be lucky if they lay 2 or 3 clutches in their entire life because they're at the apex predator level. and they can't reproduce that because there's only so much space for an animal that eats a tree kangaroo. You can't. So you have to lower that reproductive output over time, where those animals, they just go back in the food chain at the bottom. Even pythons, they crank them out. So I bet those little skinks probably have to get cracking early and make a lot of babies.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of lizard eating animals in Australia.
What's your least favorite species to work with, Nick?
Blood pythons. Horrible. Horrible snakes. I don't know.
Didn't you say you were either going to go carpets or short tails at one stage?
Yeah, no. I was going to get some Borneo short tails was what that initially. I now have an adult pair of all three species of short tails just because I'm going to breed them all at least one time, cross them off my resume in my little race with Ryan. He's bred all of them. They're easy to breed. I keep having hard luck because of the thermodynamics of how I've got them housed. I think they're averaging a bit too warm and they keep reabsorbing or slugging out. So I got to fix that for going into next season. But they're just thoroughly unpleasant. Like the Sumatrans are not bad. My Borneos are kind of dicks, but they're not horrible. But those Bloods are just horrible. They hiss. They never stop striking. You can't pick them up on a hook. They don't have a tail. There's like a slug. They just and I've had them for like 10 years. They're not like just showed up. They're not wild caught. They're captive bred, and they're just horrible animals. Metabolically, their metabolism is super slow. So they like eat and never, ever, ever shit ever. And then one day they shit the size of a bull elephant. It's like, oh my God, it's a massive thing. They swamp their cages constantly. They can't handle it. They just want to be in a nasty, swampy, they're just gross. I do not enjoy them. I mean, if people like them, they have a big following, they can have them. Like
they're like the Southeast Asian version of a gaboon viper.
Yeah. One thing I do love about them that I wish other, like the snakes I do like were like, is their metabolism. I have never in my life seen anything that was more economical in terms of like how little effort you have to put into them versus the babies you get out of them. They lay large clutches of eggs and you never feed them because they do not move. They are so sedentary. It takes almost no food. You don't even just feed them like little weaned rats. And it's like you feed them like 3 or 4 rats a year. I swear. It's like nothing. Like I got my female Borneo from my friend of mine over in Seattle. I've known him for years. And it's kind of embarrassing now. I called him a dumbass to his face. I'm like, he's out there. He's got all like 6-inch deli cups with like these Borneos in it. And they're 12-inch ones rather. The big ones are like this big, about the size of a plate. And these snakes are like 1 year, they're like yearlings and they are huge. And I'm like, I'm like kind of busting his old friend. I'm busting. I'm like, why are you feeding these things so much if you're just trying to sell them? Why are you hammering with this food? He goes, I don't know, I hardly feed them at all. They just grow fast. I'm like, I'm thinking he's just overfeeding them. No, I got that female for him. I fed it like 3 times and it's big enough and it's big as a leg. It's like, I've never seen anything. Like if you feed it 100-gram rat, like 98 grams of it goes to growth and 2 grams comes out later, like 6 months later. It's the most efficient thing I've ever seen. I wish I liked the snakes more because you can make 1 million babies and your food bill would be hardly anything. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, it sounds like a different animal. There's nothing like that over here, that's for sure.
It's weird. I mean, I wish I liked them more. I like the Sumatran ones. I have super, super black Sumatrans. They're almost all black.
Yep.
I think my dream snake is black. Like I don't care about bright colors. If I could have any snake in the world, I want a melanistic carpet python that was solid black. Like that's what I would. I love that kind of stuff.
Well, that someone got a spray can out years ago or whatever in Europe, and they spray painted a carpet python to try and get money for it or something.
Oh yeah, that's I mean, this would be a tangent to go down, but I know a lot about that incident because I was supposed to get some of them. But my friend Paul Harris was like in communication with the guy and wanted to get it. He had a whole deal worked out with the guy to get like a couple visuals and like 3 pairs of hats. So one of the pairs of hats was for me. He was working to get me a pair. But the guy was saying things that were kind of red flags. It was always like, there was reason to be suspicious. So Paul basically just told him, fuck off. That's totally unprofessional. That's not how you do business. We had a deal. Cut him loose. Another guy, another German guy, basically went back and bought the snakes. But the guy never sold visuals. It was always hets. It's like, it's always like some mystery buyer always would happen to buy out all the visuals, you know, so there's always just hets. Because you can't deliver fake visuals, but you can deliver fake hets.
Yeah.
And long story short, 100 grand, 100,000 euros later, nothing ever produced. It was all a scam. They just painted the snakes. And then it was a person that like never existed. They like tried to track down this person. It's like it was a made up fake identity. They never got in any trouble. But the funny part is the same person clearly pulled the same scam again years later, a handful of years later, with ball python people who don't talk to carpet python people. And the ball python people believe. And so unless you believe that a new recessive mutation for a solid black ball python just happened to pop out of Eastern Europe in the exact same place, it's exactly the same thing, this whole thing. And then like a year later, they made an albino version of it. They just called it the black ball. And the other one they called the red ball. It was like red. It's like, well, if a solid black snake that was an albino wouldn't be solid red. That's not how that would even work. But nonetheless, people lined up to buy hets and everything. And they got away with it twice. A friend of mine, a guy in Texas, asked me my opinion of it. I said, it's a damn scam. It's clearly the same dude that did the same thing with the carpet pythons. No. It's like, and up to that point and never after, no human ever actually saw any of the black or red balls in person. There was always some reason why you couldn't come by and see them. There was always because they didn't fucking exist. You know, it's like, don't be surprised if they show up again. There's someone else in the Czech Republic or whatever, you know, shows up again with some melanistic spray painted snake.
It's like the people that had super jags, right? They had the leucistic jags that got to adulthood, you know. So
well, that was the whole Photoshop hoax scam too. So it's a Photoshop interpretation of what they thought a living one would look like the next time, because clearly they're not all going to be dead. Yeah, they are kind of all going to be dead.
I think that, you know, that's going to be interesting now with AI, right? How incredible AI is. People are going to be able to produce videos and things like that of stuff that looks almost real. And
in the next couple of years, it will be indistinguishable from real.
Yeah, and that's
have a problem all around the world with a seemingly large percentage of people around the world cannot determine what is true and what is obviously bullshit when it's obvious. They have no hope for those people when it's not obviously bullshit. They can't tell obvious bullshit from facts. Like a perfect illusion. Like, oh, those people are doomed.
Like, people will be able to produce videos of a black colored ball python, right? It won't be a fucking thing. It won't actually be there. You know. So
yeah, I don't worry about that stuff for me because I'm old and like I'm old and established. Like trust but verify, I guess, as Ronald Reagan used to say. Like, if you got something at this day, like, unless I or somebody I know can go lay eyes on that damn thing with themselves, I'm not buying it. No. I'm not doing it. I'm not giving you any money. No. Like, if someone had a legit piebald carpet python and they wanted a bunch of money and I was in the market for such a thing and they were in Europe or whatever, I would fly to Europe to look at the damn thing before I gave them any money.
Yeah.
It's like, and if they won't let you do that, it's because it's not real.
Unfortunately, it's too easy to scam now. There are a million ways to do it.
Oh, yeah, it's insane. Like, but
I think that's what we've sort of touched on AI, and we might go down this rabbit hole for a second. It's the one thing that does piss me off a little bit is that people are going to be able to take our books, take our work, and then basically just produce their own version with AI, ChatGPT, and all this sort of shit. You know?
It's a lot easier if that's an electronic version of that book around that it'll have access to.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
They will. I'm not interested in ever writing an ebook or having a digital. I mean, there's ways you can just manually have to turn the pages and just basically photograph them, and it'll do that. It would take somebody about an hour and a half probably to sit there and digitize my book illegally, and then it would be done. Thankfully, reptile people apparently are pretty lazy about doing that sort of thing so far, but eventually it's
going to happen.
It is. It's total. I'm a little surprised it hasn't already happened, frankly. It's people. I don't know. There's more misinformation than good information out there, and it's constantly. You know, I'm getting I've realized, like, for my own sanity, that I've made myself too available to the general public. Probably, like, I am too willing to just answer questions from random people I don't know about stuff. And the amount of hours every week I have to devote to doing that, I'm just really trying to cut back. So now I'm more willing to just not respond to an email occasionally. It's like, I just can't do it. It's like, ask those questions the guy you bought the snake from. And if he can't answer them, why did you buy the snake from him? Like, it's like, why, how can I tell you how am I supposed to tell you what your snake should be eating? You can get it from me. Ask the guy you got it from. He probably should know. Like, don't ask me. If you can't ask, why did you buy a snake from in the first place? I try to be a little bit less available, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll jump on Facebook or whatever and answer a question once in a while, but I will only answer a question if it's a really good question. If it's a question you could have just Googled, I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to bother. If it's a question, like sometimes someone asks a question that's really like, wow, no one's going to have the answer to that. I'll jump in on that one maybe, but I'm not so much anymore.
We had a mate tell us he was selling some elapids, and the conversation of the Australasian elapid book comes up, and he was saying it was a good book, but it was expensive. So our mate turned around and went, well, why don't you buy one less snake off me and buy the fucking book so you know how to keep them alive? He didn't. He bought all the animals.
How much was the book?
Australasian up is about 230 Australian.
So I don't know what the exchange rate is.
About 110, 120 US.
Not that much for a giant book, really. No. And then ultimately, like that investment is so much more important than investing in another snake, because that's knowledge is. It's amazing to me how many people, like, I get that all the time. Like, have you had this? You must have had this. Where someone like asks you a bunch of questions, just like, I literally wrote a whole book. You could just read that book and answer all this, and they'll say something like, this happened to me twice. Like, must have happened to you, where like, oh, I saw that, but it's really expensive. Is there somewhere I could just download it? Where someone asks you if there's a way they could steal your book.
I had someone turn around and send us a long-winded email, right, to say, my son really likes reptiles. You should give him a book because he can't afford to buy it.
I had one where a guy was like, I work at a zoo. He actually stupidly named the zoo. And I can't afford your book, but I really want to learn. So I rang the dude who's head of herps, and I'm like, have you heard of this guy? Never heard of him.
Oh, man. It's like you'll spend $1 million on a snake and all the rest is crap, but not spend any money on actually learning anything.
Or decent husbandry. That's the other one that gets me. They will spend an arm and a leg on a snake, but won't follow through with decent sized enclosures, or even they've got the cheapest version of food, and you just sort of think, fuck, like.
Well, it's like, and this, I assume this is true for you because it's surely true for me. It's like these people complaining about how much a book costs, and you're thinking like, I probably made less than a penny an hour. I don't know how long did the Lapid book take you guys to write that?
That was a year, a solid year. No,
you got it done in a year.
Yeah.
Oh man, like that's flying.
No life, babe. Like
last herping book took Justin and I 4 years. Like we're going for 4 years, and like complaining is like $60 or $70 or whatever. It's like
the book we're working on at the moment though. So far, it's taken 3.
Yeah, we were supposed to be due same time as Field Guide, and I stupidly said yes because ADHD, no idea of fucking time. And Scott's like, we can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, we can. And I was doing about 20 hours a day on the computer. And when Andreas heard that, he's like, stop, you're going to fucking kill yourself. So we were sort of like, oh, break. And then every now and then we get, how's the book coming along? And we're like, good, but.
I work on books in like 4-hour increments, but with big gaps. It's like there's certain times a year, like now, it's like, oh, all these eggs are hatching, and then the babies aren't feeding, and my ability to write is. So I've got my major contribution to the, but it's already been a couple of years in the making of this Aspidites thing, and that's like covering 2 species.
I reckon you spoke to me about this like 4 years ago.
Well, there was a point where Justin and I had floated the idea to Justin, maybe we should do an Asphodite book. It wouldn't be as long, but we should do that. And he didn't seem that interested in doing it. Then we finished the carpet book, the second one. And then after that, he said, yeah, we should he brought up maybe revisiting that idea. And then by pure happenstance, my very good friend, Lucas Lee, calls me up out of the blue, telling me that him and his master's advisor, Zach Loafman, are thinking about doing an Asphodite book and wanting me to help talk him through the book writing process. I'm like, God damn it, we were already going to do that. Like, he had no idea. I'd never mentioned to him. So we just kind of all decided it was the easiest thing was just to all do the same book.
I must admit, though, when you said have a bit of a break because life, I find, though, that I'll write stuff down that I want to add to the book and stuff like that. But if I give myself a break of a couple of weeks, I'm not reading what I think I wrote. It's like I'm not reading a new book, but it's fresh. So I will pick up on stuff and
pick up on errors and stuff like that from your writing.
I do it on purpose. Like if you look at something and you think you got it, you think you won the Pulitzer Prize basically, and then you don't look at it, and then like a month later you look at it, you will see all the stuff that you were blind to the first time. Like, how did I repeat that whole sentence or whatever it is? You'll find all that stuff because you're reading it like a first-time reader be reading it, and then I find that to be very useful.
Yeah,
I think that's the beauty of a co-author too, right? Is that you'll write it and you'll know what you're saying, but then your co-author reads it and they're like, "Fucking, what crack are you on today?" You know,
like you fucking listen to me.
I want to find I have a lot of things I want to write about, so I keep finding ways to put things in there and stuff. So I finally got to write on evolutionary convergence because I write the evolutionary history chapter in all these books, and I finished that. I'm like, I want to write on evolutionary convergence, so that's why I got pictures from you of some of the elapids and talking about that conceptually. I think a lot of people a lot of readers are not familiar with that concept, but they're kind of familiar with seeing the results of it, like that there are these incredibly similar animals independently evolved because of largely similar sort of ecosystems and whatnot. I mean, you guys have mollusks, but we have horned lizards that are doing the same thing. They're like, what is it about living in the desert and eating ants that leads to having thorny projections on your body? Like, why is that? Why crazy thorn-like things and being a desert ant eating? But one's an iguanid and one's an agamid. They're, common ancestor would have been in the Triassic period, I think. It's like, but
it's
doing very similar things and involve similar apparatus to do it. So I got to talk about that kind of stuff. So now I'm in just review mode. I've got to go through chapters that already exist that other people wrote the first draft of, and then add my bits and pieces to.
We've got a pretty good question there from Zach Pickett. Who's your favorite author and what's your go-to book?
That's tough. I would say that the Barker's Australian Pythons book from 1993 is clearly the most influential on me and on my writing style. If you look at my writing style, because they were the first ones to write a book for the hobby that kind of straddled that line between academia and the hobby and kind of straddle those two worlds together, and they got that perfect blend. And so I've consciously tried to emulate that writing style with all the citations, and it's more technical than your typical book, but it's still accessible. And so that had a huge influence on me. And just also as somebody just getting into the hobby and fascinated with Australian pythons, the quality of photography in that book is, especially for the time, really good. And you just as some, dingling hobbyist in Spokane, Washington in the US, looking at these amazing pictures, these animals I'm never going to get to see, which I've now seen all of, but it's it's pretty awesome.
You look at that. And
I've never seen an Owen Pelly python, so I've never seen one of those in the flesh. So it's the only Australian python I've never seen.
I think the incredible thing with that was that, when the photos in that particular book of the rough scale pythons, because that had the first book to have photos of live rough scale pythons in it, and here it is just this different format where it's got these huge, massive photos inside it. The imagery in that book is so sort of high all the way across the board. And the other thing is that they had multiple images of all the species in that book as well.
I think it's a landmark book in the hobby, a really important book. even if some of the information, most of it holds up pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
There's some things in there that we now know to not be accurate because we have 3 decades more science in everything. But I don't think that really takes anything away from its achievement.
No.
For me, anyway.
Well, I think that's something to put into perspective. That book's 31 years old now.
Yeah. And even the taxonomy is a bit, I mean, our understanding of taxonomy is different, but most of the rest of the stuff in there, the vast majority of the information is accurate. Still holds up. It was just that well done. So I mean, now we know that, you know, what is Chania and what is variegata, and these things we have a better understanding because we have genetic. We can now look in their genomes and figure out how different they are for real, where one stops, where one starts, and why we can. They didn't have access to that information, couldn't do that in 1992 when they wrote that, and we do now. But beyond that, like, it holds up remarkably well. Yeah,
it's an incredible book.
Well, speaking of seeing our animals in the wild, what's the best herping trip you've been on?
Oh, this last one to New Guinea was amazing.
Let's
my ass for sure, but
we might throw some photos up from it, I think.
Are we talking about the karaoke or
no, not that. I don't drink at all, like at all. Like, so for me to have like a couple big Indonesian beers, and my friend Chris, he's English, so he drinks some beers. Like, it was kind of that celebratory end of a good trip, you know, and everything, and hurrah! It was a lot of fun. But you could just see people leaving as we're singing terribly, and people are just leaving and stuff. And then it gets on like one table, and some dude's like, "You guys are good." At the end, it's like the last people we didn't drive out. It was awesome. Like,
it makes you feel any better about bad karaoke. When the kids were little, our youngest son, his best friend was a little girl who happened to be deaf, and the kids had the Sing Star or whatever it was on the PlayStation, so we would belt out karaoke. Shelma's around, she puts both hands over her ears when I'm doing it, and she starts screaming, "No, stop!" And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm not that bad. And her mother turns around laughing, going, she hasn't even got her hearing aids in. I don't karaoke.
I just think that sometimes you have to be ridiculous, and I think that you go on these adventures, you go herping, you do this kind of stuff, you sing the karaoke, you have this is
memory.
what life is about. This is what it's all about, man. Like, it's
making
amazing memories and doing even ridiculous things. And I know there's people who don't ever do that sort of thing.
I figure I'm doing everyone else's ears a favor if I don't karaoke.
Oh, me neither. I can't sing at all. At all.
Yeah, but as long as you're drunk, it doesn't matter. So what's the story with this thing? I know you've got a bit of a love for Somalia. Must have been good to see something like this in the wild.
He's about probably pushing 4 meter long barneck scrub on Waigeo Island, and he was about 50 feet off the ground. That's the other thing. Like, people in the hobby, they always think like, "Oh, I'm recreating nature." It's like, no, like, that snake was 50 feet up a tree, hunting mammals that were also 50 feet up another tree. And one of the guys we were with shimmied up the tree and got down. Like, the Papuan guys are crazy. Like, they're like, I'm thinking like, I'm video of them doing it. It's like, this guy's gonna die. I'm gonna watch somebody die. They're gonna die trying to get a snake out of a tree so I can take a picture of it. Like, it's just nuts. They climb up the tree neck because trees are really packed tight together. There's like a small tree, and he's in the bigger tree, so it's easy to shimmy barefoot up the small tree next to it and then reach across. And got that snake down. It was remarkably mellow too. It was like, it was awesome. Like, that was I think a lot of people, they don't, they like these sort of things, and maybe they keep them in captivity, but they'll never understand the thrill of when you're out in New Guinea and you find one and you get it down. It's like, this is a juvenile on the next Waigeo, and then there's a narrow strait between Waigeo and Batanta, and this is a juvenile from Batanta.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So do you think they're both the same? Are they both the same?
Yeah, genetically, like you can just see why it's like literally the currents are pretty strong between them. So when you're going on your little tiny boat between them, you have to wait till the water's suitable. Like sometimes if a storm kicks up, you have to wait a bit, but that's real close. Genetically, they're all one group.
Yeah.
That was loving that.
They've certainly got some iridescence to these things, haven't they?
Yeah, and I'm terrible for taking photos, and even I could capture it. It's like it's not any competent photographer would be able to take a real impressive picture, probably.
So you used a traditional method of herping for this thing in Indonesia.
That one, yeah. We road cruised that one. There's like one road in Waigeo Island, basically, and it was kind of drizzly, but it rains every day there. I think you just you get a little bit in the evening, you get a little bit of rain, and we're just standing up in the back of this little tiny truck. And the guy, if you've never been like road cruising in a part of the world where nobody knows what that even is, to try to explain to somebody who doesn't really speak any English, if you want to stand up in the back of his little tiny truck, hold on to the roll bar, and I wanted to drive slow on back roads and then look for snakes. They look at you, they think you're insane. Like, what? Yeah. You want to find snakes on purpose? It just doesn't even compute that that's a thing that you'd want to do. And then other people, they see you riding around the back, like, what are these crazy people doing with flashlights in the back of this truck? What is going on? It's like this.
We were in Bali, right? And we were talking to our driver over in there, right? We're like, okay, we just want to drive on quiet roads at night. You're like, what for?
He was adorable, though. By the end of it, he was breaking for sticks, going, is that a snake?
It's like within the first time we're driving from the airport to our hotel, I've jumped out of the car, right? While just stop, and he just stops. I jump out of the car and I run back and get a roadkill rat snake, right? And he's looked at me and he's like, this guy's fucking nuts. Right?
They're so polite too. You can see him trying.
I'm standing there like I'm smiling because I'm holding this fucking dead, dripping fucking blood fucking rat snake that was on the fucking thinger. And he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "It's a rat snake." He goes, "But it's fucking dead." And I'm like, "That's okay." And he goes, "Oh." And then I sort of realized. I looked at him and was like, "Yeah, there's no way I'm putting this in the car." All right, okay, no, it's right. I'll get rid of it. But it was like he goes, I don't like snakes, eh? And I'm like, oh, that's okay, we do. And he goes, oh, that's okay, we'll go there. We'll go looking for snakes. So we'd go to a place. He'd sit there in the car, and we'd go walking around looking for snakes while he's just sitting there in the car.
But he was like really keen to find out what we'd seen and how big it was and what it was. And
did you find any retakes when you're on Bali?
I found one animal that had a timber stake driven through its fucking head. Literally, we're driving along. I've looked across and I've seen it, and I'm like, stop! He goes, what? And I said, I've got to get out and go get photos of it. So I went and took photos of it and all the rest of it. So
I have a pair of Bali reticks. That's my reticulator from Bali.
Huge lemon yellow heads on them and all the rest of it. Beautiful snake.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, so but we didn't go to any of the famous caves that you pay them some money and you walk in and you see a reticulated python sitting in the corner.
The same retic, just always there.
Yeah. So is this an in situ photo, this one?
That one is, yeah. They're just like on that razor sharp pandanus. That's on Batanta. We were there. You go out looking for boas and pythons at night, and then blue tree monitors in the day.
Yeah. So this is obviously a species of Candoya. Do you often get them with this sort of striping on them, or
they're not all like that? But that is one. I was happy. That's the one. That's the color phase I wanted most to find, and so we found the one. So I was pretty happy it was a striped one, but they're not all striped.
Okay. And you found a green thing, eh?
Poulture on the last night. We had to leave the next day, and it's like, we're not leaving this island until we find one of these things. We're going to hike this mountain all night long until we find it. And we did eventually at the very, very end.
I'm sure Ryan would have been very happy about seeing that.
Yeah. No, I've got pictures of him. It's weird. He's got this look in his face. He looks just almost like he looks crazed. He's so deliriously happy. He looks crazy. It's like
to be fair though, like it is it's one of those sort of cathartic moments, isn't it? When you see something you've always hoped to see. And the difference is, I suppose, with this animal, you look at, you can see the muscle tone in this animal. It looks like it's had a bit of a rough time at various points, but it's certainly a beautiful snake.
Yeah, no, it was a good size one too. I was a little surprised how big it was.
Okay. I like the fact that the head is in proportion to the size of its body as well. It's nice.
Yeah.
And then we've got a Prasinus.
Yes, that one will probably. The Prasinus is a complex. There are obviously more than one species of them, but this one's on Salawati, and I believe the type locality for Prasinus is Salawati, or is on the peninsula. So this one would remain Prasinus even if they split it up into multiple taxa.
Yeah, when the sarongs and the Moroccans get split away.
Yeah, I was able to see at Prestasi they had all three types, and it's like, yep, those are all different lizards.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. And then the famous animal on Batanta, the Macraei.
Yeah, we got a couple of them.
Are they? I'm assuming they go up and they climb up the trees after them and noose them, I suppose, to bring them down.
Yeah, I'm not catching none of that. Like the guys, like the local guys that Chris knows some local guys that actually collect for the pet trade or at times, or they're just like, I would have walked through that forest forever and not found any monitors. Like these guys walk through, they fan out, they get away from us because we'll scare everything away. And they just walk through barefoot through the mud and through the forest, and they listen for them. They're just listening for them because they're up at they're way up in the canopy. They can hear them scratching around up there. And that's how they find them. And then they'll shimmy up a tree next to that tree with a little noose and pole and bamboo and get them down. So
beautiful, is it?
Put them right back. Yeah.
So we've got a couple of some breeding photos here. So we've got a pretty incredible looking Pathensis.
I love Pathensis. I think that's, other than the babies are horrible, but I think that might be my favorite Antaresia. I just love them. That, and they're kind of murdery. I don't know if you ever had them kill each other, eat each other.
We haven't, no. But
I think I've had 3 adult Pathensis die, and all of them were murdered. I've never had one die of natural causes. I had a male kill another male. I had a female kill a male, and I had a female eat a male. I've never had one die of natural causes. It's always foul play. They're just like that. But I do enjoy those lists.
It wouldn't surprise me if there was a northern and southern clade in there, mate.
That wouldn't be. I mean, it's possible. Yeah. I mean, these are the things that nobody's trying to answer those questions. I mean, it seemed like it would be pretty straightforward to do.
Well, considering, you see that same thing in, biogeography in that that region, right, with the Varanus, right? So Pilbarensis and Hammersleensis in some of the skinks, the geckos. There's a whole heap of things where you've got these northern ones and these southern ones in WA in that particular region. So wouldn't surprise me if the Pathensis did the same thing.
Yeah.
Eastern New Guinea water python? Eastern one?
That's a Queensland one here.
That's a Queensland.
Yeah. That's my 20-year-old female.
Beautiful snakes.
I like Fuscus. That's the first ever stonewashed Brettles.
What was the go there? Did it come out of? Was there anything in the adults that sort of gave you an inkling that there might have been stonewashed? Now looking back on those, looking back on it?
They were old animals when they bred for the first time for another gentleman, and when that happened, he popped out a couple of these weird ones. Then but the guy's name was Nick, ironically. I had met him because he had hatched a paradox leopard gecko that was half albino and half not, and I wrote an article on paradox animals. And so I knew him because he gave me pictures of the gecko. And a long story short, he got ripped off. Basically, he went away to law school on the East Coast. He left his collection in the care of some other local guys to take care of and breed and then sell the offspring or whatever. They had an arrangement worked out. And those guys decided, you know what would be better than that? Just selling all your snakes and keeping all the money and stealing it. So he got wind that they were selling all of his adults off. And then he flew back, rented a moving truck, and tried to repatriate all of his snakes, such as were left. They basically gave him a small portion of the snakes they had left, told him they were going to have him arrested if he didn't get off their property. He did manage to get 2 of these guys, 2 of the visuals, but there were 6 originally. They kept 2.2, gave him 2 of the males, and stole 2 pairs, and the original parents, and 3 normals. I go, all those normals are going to be males, right? Yeah, shocker, they were all males. He didn't have anywhere to put them. He was living in a studio apartment, going to law school. He just didn't want them to get away with this. So he just gave them to me with no strings attached, just gave me everything. And I said, well, you didn't ask for anything, but when you get settled after you are practicing law and whatnot, let me know. And whatever I produced, I'll send you some stuff. Years go by. Took a couple generations. I ultimately proved out how it all worked. And then he called me up and I sent him some stuff. I sent him a box of double het stonewash stripes and some stonewash stuff. I sent him some animals from that project, however far I'd gotten at the time. And that's when I first proved that out. So
it's an incredible looking snake.
I was really hoping the end of that story was he became a brilliant lawyer and managed to really screw over the people that screwed him over.
He seemed amenable to doing that at one point. I don't know. I haven't kept up with him as much. That is, I just went through some representative pictures, but that is that's a hypomelanistic stonewashed and hypobrettles. Those are full-blooded hypos, and that's how much brighter the hypo stonewashed is. Those are all hypos behind them. They're literally that color.
It almost looks like a hypo, doesn't it? It's incredible.
Kind of. It's crazy.
And then what's this maternal incubation?
Yeah, there's one starting to hatch at the very back. It's not the best picture, but it's kind of under the gun.
Yeah. And that's how you incubate? You do maternal?
I don't do it anymore for a few reasons, mostly just to, frankly, because everybody over here and in Australia is so irrationally paranoid about relatively mild viruses that they all have this nidovirus panic, which is born out of not understanding and fundamentally not understanding anything about nidoviruses at all. And so it leads people to doing just completely irrational things. So I'm sitting here doing this podcast from my baby room, which is my office also. Why do I have babies behind me in my office when I already have another baby room? It's because I have to do all this ridiculous stuff to cater to people that are so paranoid about something that is frankly ubiquitous anyway, that they don't understand. So now I don't do maternal incubation. I keep everything completely firewalled off between room to room for biosecurity reasons, even though it's mostly just so other people can have confidence in buying a snake from me. But I do it. That's why. But yeah, I thought that was a good picture.
There's a lot of things going on in this picture. We've got zebras, we've got albinos, we've got Brettles, gelatins, Darwins, jungle zebras, I think it is by the look there.
Yeah, and would you know it? All that variety and no hybrids.
No,
right? no hybrids. It's like, what do we need to hybrid these? This is what's just around. Some of those are wild type snakes. There's a couple of wild types, a wild type jungle in there. There's a wild type Darwin in there.
And the one that stands out for me the most out of all of those happens to be that gelatin.
Mm.
Yeah, these do not. I've always thought those are cool. On my very first trip to Australia, many years ago, it wasn't a gelatin technically, but I found a Cape Trib one on the Cape Trib Road.
Yeah.
And found one, and I was like, "Ooh, it's the same snake." That was the first wild carpet I ever found. Only one I found on that first trip, and it was one of those. And I just always thought that. And then did all that research trying to figure out why do they look so different than other jungle carpets? Oh, because they're not even jungle carpets. It's a totally different thing. It's like It's a very Agata has a rainforest phase too. That's in this little bit up here, and the rest of those are not really jungle carpets. And then having been back and found a couple other gelatins in gelatin proper, I always thought that was cool. That's probably my favorite type of carpet. I just love those things.
Certainly understandable. It's such a beautiful snow.
Mm-hmm. What's the worst accident you've had on a herping trip?
What?
What's the worst accident you've had on a herping trip?
It would have been this New Guinea trip. Not bad. I stepped on a rusty nail under the ocean in swimming on a coral reef, and there was some wood that had a rusty piece of metal, and it stabbed the bottom of my foot, like right in the arch of your foot, where you don't want to have a rusty piece of metal stab you when you got to hike 20 miles a day.
Yeah.
So that was painful for the whole rest of the trip. And then the last night of that trip, coming down the mountain after finding that green tree python, I slipped and fell. And as I'm falling down the mountain or sliding, there's like buttress roots, and they're kind of like almost flush the ground, but they're kind of like slippery. I slipped on one of those. I just immediately like threw my arm back and caught like a small tree. It was about that big around. I just grabbed it to stop my fall and tore a muscle in my rib cage.
Ouch.
Yeah, for like 2 months. It's like one of those, like, why do you even have muscles? And it doesn't, I don't even know what those do. What does it even do? It's like, it's just there to hurt if you tear it. But I tore that pretty good. That trip got a couple infected insect bites, and that trip kicked my ass. Like, New Guinea's not for the faint of heart. If you can do it, if you're tough, it's something. But it's not, there's no air conditioning. There's no reliable fresh water. You're constantly having to live on a bottled water. It's not a place you go for comfort. It's hardcore, but boy, it's something.
The water though is, you're so used to, like, say, brushing your teeth and things like that. It's second nature to just drink from a tap or whatever. So when you're in Indonesia,
there's literally no drinkable tap water in Indonesia. Like, even in Jakarta, you're drinking, it's all bottled water all the time. So you're brushing your teeth with bottled water. It's just kind of like, I mean, unless you're in a major city, there's no proper flushing toilets. Like, you're just like, they're like in some like thatched hut, and there's like what looks kind of like a toilet. There's like a huge drum of water with like a ladle, and you do your business, and you can like just keep endlessly pouring water into it until eventually gravity flushes it, which sometimes takes a frankly long time. It's like,
is it toilet paper though?
Yeah, you might eat twice a day, and both times it's going to be fried bananas, probably. It's not. Although if it was super comfortable, that wouldn't have been as much of an adventure. Like, part of the fact that it's like, so that's part of it. Like, I'd highly recommend you guys go. Because on Lapids and all this stuff, there's adders, there's stuff. The Papuan analogs, all the stuff you're into are all there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've spoken to Chris, so
Chris keeps saying, come over. It's just time and money. They don't align.
Oh, man. He needs to get back and he's on a mission to photograph all the tree monitors in the wild. And so he needs to get a Keith Horn eye.
Yeah, well, we've told him, and he's like, well, not too far.
He's a pretty good guy to know if you want to go to Papua. He knows a lot of local people and was really good. We couldn't have done that trip without him. He knew enough people to help facilitate. I mean, you just show up and nobody speaks English. Nobody cares about you. Like, he's not good. Like, most of the people don't even have shoes. Like, they don't give a shit. Like, you need a boat guy to drive a boat around. You can't get anywhere without a boat. You need a boat guy. How do you find a boat guy if nobody speaks the language? Like, and these guys are just like guys who might just be out fishing or whatever that have a boat. You got to find some random dude and then say, hey, how'd you like to work for me for 8 days? And I'll give you all this money. And you're my water taxi, basically. Trying to explain that. Well, we go look for snakes. Like, what? How would you find no boat guy, no trip? It absolutely cannot do it without a boat guy. You got to find somebody that knows the language and get you a boat guy. There's just all this stuff.
Chris is lovely.
You have to be right too in regards to the payment too, right? You turn around and go, all right, well, how much do I give a boat guy over there? Is it $50
you don't give him shit until the end of the trip.
$200 a day? You sit there and go, oh, I'll give you $200
US. You got to be careful because there's a lot of unscrupulous boat guys. You give them the money in advance and they'll just leave your ass on an island and take off.
Yeah.
I think we gave our boat guy, it was the equivalent of like $700 US, but that was like literally like 1.4 million Indonesian rand or something, just an insane number. But it was like, the first like third or quarter of it was just to buy all the fuel, all these like jerry cans of fuel for the trip.
Yeah.
And then that was all front loaded, paid for that. And then at the end of it, on the last day, he got paid out. And he made the equivalent of probably more than you made the whole rest of the year put together in that one. But
yeah. And you know what, right? You don't mind doing that either, right? But you want to make sure that the next time you go there, he's not charging you $1.9 million.
Well, that was the problem that apparently had happened before. That's why we got new boat guy this trip. This was the first time with Buddy, the new boat. He's new boat guy because old boat guy kept doing that. Apparently,
yeah.
It's like,
and you appreciate that, right? You understand that this is what that they're always going to try and do the best that they can, and that's okay. But at the same time, right, there's got to be a limit to it too. So
this boat guy was really good. He helped like set up camp, tear down. He was helped cook food. He was not interested. He was scared to death of snakes. He was not. Didn't speak a single word of English. I mean, he wasn't interested in going hiking and looking for snakes. But he used his time wisely and made himself useful. And he didn't really have to do that. But it was great. It was,
means that, maybe it's the guy that we'll catch up with when we go there. So.
Trying to go back in pretty short order again this year.
What's on your list to keep that you haven't been able to keep so far?
Well, are we talking things that I could conceivably get, or things that were just fantasy land that I might not be able to get?
Either.
Let's go with both. We'll go with fantasy.
Number one would be fantasy land. Number one thing would be Imbricata.
Yeah.
And lifelong carpet python guy. I need to complete the set. I've done it all. That's the one remaining. And there's no reason for optimism on my part that that's going to happen, like, at all. Not like something that there's just, I might die having never done that, but that would be the thing. I'd say probably Owen belly pythons after that. They're sort of Morelia adjacent. They are on the same sort of evolutionary branch as all that other stuff, but they're kind of the early diverging branch from that, on that side of the family tree. Things that you actually could have. I'm a python guy through and through, and they're literally at this point, they're only pythons that I can have that I've never owned. I think there's only 2 species I've never kept. I have never owned a Bowen's python because I didn't want one, even when they were $700 a piece, and I didn't bother with it then. I've never had a Bowen's python, and I've never had a dwarf berm, which isn't really a berm. Because now they're just so much money, I just can't bring myself to pay what people are asking for pure ones. So I think that might be the only 2 species of python I actually could possibly obtain that I do not have. And I've got all the ones
that Somalia that you wanted to keep.
What?
Have you kept all the Somalia that you wanted to keep, or there's still a few things?
The only Somalia that you can possibly actually obtain that I do not is the Bowen's python. I've currently got 5. What do I have? Let me look at my list. I think I have I currently have 6 species of Somalia right now, both described and undescribed forms. There are a few others that I've had in the past that should probably be their own species that I don't have currently. But I've had more class Telepus than I know what to do with. I've had the Aru population animals. I've had all that stuff. There are a few that there are things that are not available that it might not be impossible to actually get at some point. They're unavailable, and people would think it's impossible, but sometimes things are not as impossible as you might think.
Yeah.
A lot of the times people think, well, anything from the Papua side of New Guinea, Papua doesn't export. So it's like Australia, you're never going to get it. It's not exactly true. Like Australia has laws that say we're not exporting anything. That's the law, is they're not any exports. There's no ban on exporting from Papua. They just don't do it. And they don't do it largely because no one asks them to do it. So it's not necessarily impossible. And they're apparently pretty, freewheeling as far as giving out permits for research, for specimens for research and that kind of stuff. So that it might not be as impossible a task. And in that sense, I would like to get Bismarck Archipelago scrubs.
Yeah. Do you think what do you think the reason is the difficulty is with breeding Halmaheras?
As a person with a gravid female Halmahera right now that's due to drop any second, I don't know. I think the difference is mostly I don't expect to be good eggs. I bet you that's like 4 really huge duds is what I'm guessing, but she's gravid. The problem has been that historically they would come in, and when you bring in scrub pythons that are already sexually mature or near it, they generally don't ever adjust well, and then the females will never ovulate. Even if the males breed, the females never ovulate. Scrub pythons are like that. You need to get them very young and raise them in captivity. And the other problem is 2 other problems, and this is all scrub pythons, whether it's Boland's pythons, which are just a montane scrub python, they're not that special, or any of the other stuff. It's always the same thing. It's 2 problems. One is a lack of competent people trying to breed them. Mm-hmm. There's not that many. Of the total number of people that have a thing, how many of them have a pair? How many of them have any idea what they're even doing? The number of people with healthy pairs they raise from young animals who are competent and serious, that's a pretty small number. So I think there's a lot of it is not that many people are really seriously trying in a serious way. And the other problem, which is the bigger problem, is that people fuck them up and make them too big and fat and they don't breed. And it's insane to me that this is still a thing. I harp on it. I'm going to harp on it right now again. Stop making your scrub. You want to know why your scrub pythons don't breed or your Boland's pythons don't breed? Because they're too big and fat. There you go. It's that simple. You don't need to write a freaking 5-page essay waxing poetically about why they don't breed. You don't need to think outside the box. The answer is completely 100% inside the fucking box. Your snake's too big and fucking fat. They can't thermoregulate properly. You know, even in the wild, a big king horneye in Cairns, you know what? It can get hot and it can go cool off in a stream. It can control its body temperature. You put a 13-foot snake in a box, in a 4-foot box, it can't do that. It heats up slow. It gets cold slow. It can't cool off fast enough. Thus, its average body temperature ends up being too high. It reabsorbs its follicles and no reproductive failure. Why do you think, like, in captivity, the only scrubs that ever breed reliably are little ones? Shocker, right? Look at anybody that's bred Boland's pythons in captivity. Anybody anywhere in the world. Is it the 12 or 13-foot one? Nope. It's the 7-foot one that lays the eggs because it's still small enough to reproduce, to thermoregulate properly.
So do you think one of the keys then would be to put them in much larger enclosures if you're going to have a big one?
Don't want them to get very big.
Thermoregulate.
Okay, I have a pair of Wamena scrubs, the northern form, right? From Wamena, Jayapura, all that. It's the same snake from the base of the Bird's Head Peninsula all the way to the Huon Peninsula. This huge arc of almost the entirety of the northern coast of New Guinea. It's all the same. And even islands, a couple hundred clicks north of the mainland, same snake. They're identical. It's the same thing. That female has laid 3 back-to-back clutches of 11, 12, and 13 eggs respectively. 100% fertility every single time. Not a single slug in any of them. 3 years running. That snake is still about 6.5, 7 feet long. Like, it's like the reason why she banged out clutch after clutch is because she's 7 feet long. If she was 12 feet long, but people constantly do this thing where they conflate the record size for a thing with what the average size or the appropriate size should be. Ergo, they read scrub pythons can get 15 feet long, so I need to feed my scrub python until it's 15 feet long. And I can tell you categorically, I have seen a lot of captive 15-foot scrub pythons, and I have yet, I dare say, never seen a 15-foot scrub python sitting on a clutch of eggs. Not once. Not once. I don't think I ever will. It's like seen a lot of 7, 6, 7, and 8-foot scrub pythons on eggs. Lots of those. They get too big and they can't. You have too much mass. It takes too long to cool off. You don't have options of like taking a dip in the creek in the bottom of this gorge you live in. That's not an option for you. You don't.
Yeah.
It's a lot about the way we keep things that have reproductive consequences and health consequences and stuff.
It's funny though, on that topic, they will, my cat or my dog, or I can go to the fridge whenever I want. So that's the excuse, I guess, for behind feeding the animal way too much. But on that same note, your cat or dog can run around the yard or the house or whatever. There's room to move, but they overfeed, but then keep in a small box and don't get the correlation of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Don't get like that. Most predation attempts fail. Snakes are programmed to eat whatever they can, whenever they can. But the environment ensures that is not that much and not that often. You might get something this big one day. You might get something at the upper size limit you can barely choke down. Then you might not see anything for 3 months, and that's just how it is. This like idea that like perfectly overly nutritious rodents fed on a nutritionally balanced laboratory diet show up magically once a week and are already conveniently dead. So you don't even have to do anything at all. Your job is just to sit on your ass on a piece of newspaper doing absolutely fuck all nothing, and don't even have to constrict your prey. It's like you have poor muscle tone. It's like these snakes are, the arboreal stuff and semi-arboreal stuff, they're climbing up trees. That takes energy, muscle tone, and coordination, which affects metabolism. They don't bask at, we do everything. We try to make everything so easy that we fuck these snakes up. Yeah, we've determined that their ideal like body temperature when they're digesting or whatever is 90 degrees. So we give them this 90-degree hotspot. And we've determined that they want to be 80-odd degrees Fahrenheit. That's about the perfect temperature where they seem to prefer the most. But they don't get that in the wild. That's the average of what they get in the wild. We take out the high and the low, and we just give them what they want, and they just overindulge. So they just sit there. We've given them no reason to move at all, and it affects their metabolism. It affects everything. It affects their resistance to. Here's another one that I'll go ahead. I guess my mouth will go ahead and say it. I was saving this for like Ryan and I are slowly working on like a magnum opus book that'll be like the biggest book I'll ever be a part of. But it's a long, like years and years long life's work sort of situation. We've kind of over the years of doing this, kind of have like a thesis, sort of like our, I don't know, like if there's any contribution to the hobby I'm ever going to make, it's probably this, and this is part of it. And then is the effects of body size, temperature, metabolic, all these things are all intricately connected. To speak on disease, it's like, people have all these problems like, oh my God, my snake's got this virus or that virus. You know what cures that a lot of times? Heat, high heat. Like you can cure a lot of diseases, even viruses, it turns out, even the one that you're all thinking about right now, by cooking the shit out of your snake for about 2 weeks. This has been demonstrated now. They can rid this. You basically institute a behavioral fever. And
that's the thing, right? A fever is
pretty sketchy high temperatures, but if you survive that, you have cooked that virus out of your system, and you're alive, and it's over.
A fever is a byproduct of our body trying to actually get rid of a virus.
Yes, but you know what also helps?
Do that. But they can't do that. But they do that in the wild, because to get a snake in captivity to sit in an incubator for 14 days at 94 degrees Fahrenheit round the clock, they would never voluntarily do that. You can force them to do that in captivity, and it works. But in the wild, what is a snake going to do? What's a carpet? What's a scrub? What's anything going to do? Oh, the night got cold. What are they going to do? They're going to go sit in a clearing and warm up and bask. Are they basking at exactly 90 degrees? No. They're getting their body temperature up well over 100 degrees.
Yep.
So if you can rid yourself of the dread virus of the moment, which is not nearly what people think it is anyway, if you can cook that out of your system with no antibiotic, no medication, just bake it out of them over a 14-day period at 94 degrees, what do you think happens if you cook yourself for an hour a day, every day at 105 degrees? You're basically nuking any virus you might have is never going to actually be able to proliferate to an extent to cause illness, because you're basically just, even for that brief window at these extreme temperatures, you're just knocking it way back. And even if it starts steadily going, then the next day you knock it back. This behavioral fever that is the normal behavioral pattern every day anyway is going to have huge benefits for pathogens. They're going to have a hell of a time.
That, though, when they're cooking themselves, they're cooking themselves in the sun, right? Yes. So they're exposing themselves to UV light as well.
Well, that's going to sterilize anything on the outside of them. Pretty good. UVs.
That's what I'm saying, though, right? So you're adding these little bits and pieces.
We deprive them of these extreme high temperatures, and we give them this safe, moderate thing that they sit on for too long. Also, I don't think that this is anatomically a bit speculative, but it must exist. There has to be some sort of a switch in this snake that tells it when it's got enough heat, because they don't conduct heat very well through the tissue. There has to be something that tells their brain, oh shit, I'm getting too hot, better move away from this. It must exist, or they would all just sit in the sun until they died. So that has to be there. Where do you think that would be? Would it be on the bottom of the snake or on the top of the snake?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be on the top of the snake. It wouldn't be on the bottom of the snake. That wouldn't make any sense at all, because they're getting heat from the sun. What do we do in captivity? We sit them on a 90-degree heat pad that's frankly not that hot, and it's heating from the bottom up. So they're going to sit on it for way too long. And then we wonder why they reabsorb their follicles and we have reproductive failure. Because we're heating them from exactly the opposite way. The temperature regimen in which we're doing it is completely wrong. And you see bigger problems with bigger snakes, things like scrub pythons that are arboreal, and they're like that you're going to see it most in them. Smaller snakes, you're going to get with a lot more. They behave differently. They heat up and cool down faster. But a bigger snake, if you have like a Prothensis and it got up to whatever temperature, it's going to lose all that temperature. In a couple hours, it's going to lose that because it has no mass. But a 4-meter scrub python, it's never going to get to room temperature ever. You can turn all the heat off all you want. It's never going to. Days will go by before it gets to that. It's never going to. Even my Bredl's pythons, I cycle the room that they're in my garage, where it's like in the 40s Fahrenheit. It's literally that cold. And I will take my temp gun and I'll go out there and it's like 52 Fahrenheit in the room, and I'll temp the snake and it's 70 Fahrenheit. It's 18 degrees warmer than the ambient air temperature. Even though I'm cooling the crap out of them, that's just, they've only fallen that much because they're that big around and they have so much mass that insulates them. So I think this is why scrub pythons, plays into why things get sick that wouldn't otherwise get sick. It plays into why you have reproductive failure. It's because with these larger animals in particular, we're not.
So it would have been 0 last night outside, right? It would have been 0 outside here last night, right? Our parentis are outside.
Yeah.
Our diamond pythons are outside. If you said to somebody, "Hey, I'm going to get a diamond python. I'm going to take those animals that are sitting in a rack and I'm going to chill them down to 0 degrees," right? Someone's going to get, "You're fucking nuts. You're going to kill snakes." And you would kill the snake if you were trying to put it out of an enclosure, bring it down to 0 degrees. You'll kill it, right? But you know what? That enclosure might be at 0 degrees outside, but where that snake is sitting in the straw and all the rest of it is not at 0 degrees.
Its body mass has allowed it to retain some heat as insulate itself, and then it's found a retreat site where it's got some insulated properties. It's going to be not warm. It'll be cold, but it'll be a fair bit above 0.
100%. And I reckon if I go out there today because it's a sunny day outside, it'll be out there basking. It may only have a loop out or something like that, but it'll be out there basking.
Yeah, people think that like it's like the cumulative power of heat energy over time that matters. So if it's like, oh well, you got down to 0 at night. I'll try to speak as else, but you got up to 39 during the day. It's like, well, you got really hot, and then it's like you're doing these big roller coaster of up and down and up and down, but the average of that is not too bad, really. It's like you got colder than you might think you want to be at night, but you got warmer in the day. That's what matters. It's the average. And just the same way that affects metabolism, the same way food does. It's not how many calories you had in this meal versus this meal. It's the cumulative amount of calories over again a given period of time that matters. Yeah. That amount of food energy you accumulate get in a period of time that matters, not so much how you did it. So I don't know. There's all these I kind of like these. I like having these sorts of conversations. There's a lot of stuff people I think they just don't understand this stuff, and these things are affecting their keeping and their breeding, their success, and they don't even realize that these are issues.
I think people. Oh, snake, breed money. And I don't think
snake breed money.
I don't think that they realize that it's not as simple as that. There is so much more to it. And there's not that much money coming out at the end.
it's almost a recipe in some ways, but it's fucking not, right? You're not baking a fucking cake.
Yeah, I will freely admit that I know all these things. And I still keep things in manners. There's things with heat pads, things in tubs. There's a lot of that stuff. I mean, you're kind of like, you get to this point where you've achieved all this understanding of it, but you're kind of chained to some of these methodologies because logistically you can't just put everything in a outdoor aviary. I can't put anything in one because of where I live. But I think that, I don't know, I think for me, in some ways, it's more aspirational, I guess. I would like to get to that point at some point when I'm near retiring, I guess. And I have, instead of having 300 adult pythons, I have, 30. and you can do that kind of thing. I'm never retiring. I have the best job ever. Like, I get to breed snakes for a living. Why would I ever give that up? I could never imagine not having some pythons. I made my will up a couple of years ago, and I had to put provisions for when I croak, who's dealing with all these freaking snakes. Like, I have an executive, I have multiple executors of my estate, one just to handle whatever animals I died with. We'll understand that stuff. But I could sure see having a lot less of them. I could see, like, wouldn't it be awesome to have like your big snake building with it's like 12 snakes in awesome giant cages and stuff. Like, I could see that. Like, yeah, really elaborate. Like, I could see that. I'm not at that point now, but I mean,
we are seriously consider that's something that will end up happening with it.
Yeah.
We've got built-in enclosures around the outside of our herp room, and I'm like, I'm going to do some remodeling now, and it's going to be a huge amount of work to do it, but I'm going to cut the amount of enclosures around the outside in half.
I think that
we haven't bought anything for a while either, so our snakes are aging as well.
Yeah, some of the stuff's aging, and we're happy with that. That's okay. And we went to a keeper's collection in Germany, and the way he had set up his enclosures was incredible, and bioactivity and naturalistic stuff and all the rest of it. But the one thing that he put in the bottom of them all was pond liners, right? So instead of using a normal base and all the rest of it, you just put a pond liner in the bottom of the enclosure, and you sit back and you go, that's so fucking simple. It's an easy way to do it, right? I can get myself a decent depth, so I've got some structuring and all the rest of it. I'll make the enclosures big enough so the animals can thermoregulate properly in there, and make my life easier and enjoy it more, and not just be a fucking shit cleaner and get to appreciate the animals for a bit more than that.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, I always like advise people to do things differently than me in a lot of cases. Like, I'm kind of like, since this is my full-time job where I need to produce a decent number of animals every year. I have to do that. That's the life I've chosen for myself. So it forces me to have to do some things that, like, if I was a hobbyist, I would do it differently. I would have no reason to have anywhere close to this many animals and stuff. So I tell people, I tell a lot of snakes people that are just hobbyists with a handful of snakes, maybe just a couple as pets. I'm like, yeah, do it up, make an awesome setup. The snake looks way cooler sitting in an awesome cage.
Yeah,
not when it's a baby though. Don't put this 25-gram carpet in a 4-foot tall cage.
We keep species that we don't want to keep because we need to as part of our business. It's as simple as that.
I keep more stuff than I would actually keep because I don't, and for good reason, I don't trust the hobby over here to value things. And I know that if I stop doing some of these things, there are whole lineages of things that will just cease to exist the minute I stop producing them because everybody's too busy doing other stupid shit mostly. Like, it's just, I've got, if my facility burned down, there's probably about 9 entire genetic lineages of carpet python that would cease to exist purely for that reason, just because of me. That's the only reason they exist at all. It's like, did I breed them and did I sell them? Yeah. Did anybody else breed the ones I produced and sold them? No. Like, it's insane.
About 10 years ago,
that stuff goes away. What?
Yeah, about 10 years ago, I decided that, like, pure locale carpets here were getting thin on the ground. It was all jags and whatnot. So I started collecting, much to Scott's disgust. And he's like, stop it. And I'm like, when was the last time you saw a pure diamond?
Or pure this or pure that.
And he was sort of like, yeah, all right. But yeah.
It's really like, which of these hybrids is better looking than a nice diamond python? Oh yeah, none of them. Literally none of them are better than that. That is like a freakishly attractive snake just naturally. It's like, what do you try? You can't improve that. What are you gonna? Are you gonna make something better than a black and yellow jungle carpet? I don't think so. You're not. I mean, these things are already
one with brown that's living on a rock and ride on Lake Morris.
Right? I like that. I tried to bring back. I got another Tully male that's got some brown on him, and he bred, but then the clutch just kind of, you get those clutches where it's just like 5 eggs and 7 slugs, and then every 5 days 1 egg drops until it's down to none, and it ended up being 0 good ones, just a weak clutch, and like
and then what do? You put those together again. They do that same pairing the next year. or is that pairing just not compatible and you just shoot yourself?
I have a traditionally nicer looking male that would probably happily breed, but I don't have the one female. But I want the male with the brown to breed. I don't care about what, so I can be the 10,000th guy to make a bright yellow and black jungle carpets. There's a million of those. I want to bring back brown. Let's make a natural looking jungle with that brown in the base. I think, and it's gonna be those things that everybody's gonna like think is stupid, and no one's gonna want to buy it, and no one's gonna care. And then 3 generations later, I'm gonna get to where I want to be with it. And like, oh yeah, that's pretty sweet. And then they'll be interested. Nobody over here is willing to put any time into anything. They want to wait at the finish line for the end product and not do any of the work.
A few years ago, we had collets hatch, and they were twins. And the Dick, he had the male had in his patterning. I'll send you a photo. It was a perfect Dick in the patterning. And I said, oh my God, we can line breed. And Scott goes, don't even.
Oh my God, you keep it? You must have kept it.
He died, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Is a twin, you said?
Yeah.
How big is a twin Colette's? That's got to be.
It was 12 grand.
He wasn't as small as you'd think, actually.
It was 12. That baby was 12 grams. It was fucking tiny.
It was cutest little dick on the back of him.
Fucking dick on.
How did the complete carpet come about?
But several things sort of came together. There was 2 other people that were supposed to write that book for Eco Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
And they started, and I was friendly with both of them, and both of them sort of respected my opinion. So weirdly, they were sending me like bits of the unfinished book and everything to kind of shadow edit and give them my thoughts on and input, in an unofficial capacity. And ultimately, the book sort of fell apart because one of the authors was pursuing an advanced biology degree, and the other one was a biblical literalist who thought the world was 6,000 years old and didn't believe in evolution at all. The irony being he was breeding jaguar carpets and granite carpets and not understanding that single gene mutation is the base unit evolution, and you're breeding it in a species of snake that still has a pelvis and hind legs. In the aquarium. Super nice dude, Will Leary. Super nice. Great. Just a really nice guy. He's been out of the hobby for a long time now. But super nice guy. But ultimately, their book never got across. It didn't even get, I don't know, they didn't get terribly far. It was just, you could see, it was like, you could tell this person wrote this section, this other person wrote, because it was just, they couldn't sync up. And then I thought, maybe I should talk to him about doing that book. And then I had somebody else ask me about writing a book with them. And then I had another friend wanted to do a book. I was the guy that everyone wanted to co-author a book with, apparently. And then I talked to Justin, who I've known since probably the late 90s and everything. And he's like, we should talk to him about it. I'm like, okay. Because I think he knew Russ or something a little bit. And we got the gig. We didn't use any of, clean, fresh start and everything.
Yeah, of course.
And then we wrote that first book. And then we took like a month off and then started writing the Anti-Reezer book because we were just in writing mode and just kept right on going.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I know you talk about it being it's a revised edition, but that more complete carpet is not really a revised edition.
No, it's a
new fucking book.
There's not a single paragraph that is untouched. Like everything got rewritten and then 300 more pages added that wasn't in there. But everything had to it's a totally different book. That's why it took so damn long. But I never get a chance to revisit it. The book would sell out and you get to do a second edition. Never thought that would happen with a niche sort of publication. And then I thought, all right, I'm going to really crush it this next time because I'll certainly never get to write a third one. And so we kind of went maybe a bit overboard.
I don't know. Your name's on the front cover. Like, to me, it's do what you can.
Do the best you can with what you've got.
I wanted to write the book that was so big and intimidatingly large that anybody else that is going to think about writing a book about carpet pythons is just going to be like, that they're going to be forever compared to this giant thing. And they better, you know what? If someone wants to write a bigger, better book, I encourage them to do it because I want to read it. Like, get out there and do it. But I want to, I kind of figured this was over here you'd call a walk-off home run where you just You crack that home run and you just walk because you don't got to even run. It's like, I'm done. That's it. I'm out. It's like, that's probably the last time I'll get it right on carpet pythons at that level. So, I don't know. Maybe it'll get a 3rd edition someday, but I don't know. Maybe if it does, it's time for somebody else to take a swing at it. I don't know.
Has your approach to writing changed since your first book?
It hasn't changed, but it's gotten not easier, but I'm more comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. Like you guys, you wrote your first book. It feels awkward writing a book. It's like, what am I writing a book for? What am I doing? It's like, and kind of feeling it out. And then you gain confidence. And like, now I can write books. Like I've done this a bunch of times now. Like I've that confidence and you've done it before. And it's like, I don't know. I've got a great
process. You know the process. You know what you're getting yourself in for. And then you wonder why you midway through the project, you wonder why you agreed to do it again, and you sit there and go, "Fuck, okay." But at the same time, you know what you're in for. But at the same time, I don't think you change anything that you do. You streamline your processes. Is probably a better way to describe it.
We're not taking on any more work, Mr. Here. And then says to me the other day, so while you're emailing Andreas, see if he wants this as a book. And I was like, are you fucking for real now? And he's like, yeah. So I did. And Andreas is like, yes, of course. So we've got 2 due with Andreas now.
For me, the Carpet Python group has been so part and parcel to my entire career and so important to my life for all these for decades now.
Yeah.
To look at the definitive book on that subject, I'm looking at sitting over here right now, and my name's on the cover. Like that is, for me, that was a milestone, like a life milestone. So I'll probably never have my name be first author on another book. That probably won't happen again. So it's important to me that that was the one. This Aspidades book, there's like 4 authors on, and Lucas will be the lead author. And he wanted to be lead author. And I'm like, I'm totally fine being like 3rd or 4th guy on the list. That's cool. I goes, as long as you do the lead author job. He has totally done that job. He has totally earned it in every sense of the word. I'm like, I'll be happily dumped into the et al. Portion of the citation.
He needs to, he hasn't done a trip over here yet though. He's got to come and do a trip.
I've been riding him hard about that. I'm like, dude,
he'll change his whole fucking mindset.
He just got engaged, and he's like just starting his career and all that kind of stuff. So he's a younger guy, but I talk to him pretty regularly, and I'm like, dude, you got to keep an eye out for the future, but you got to live now also, because you don't know that the future is even a thing you're going to have. You know, you're alive right now.
Yeah.
Don't spend all your money now, but he's pretty good with snakes. So good that I have to send him a bunch of money for snakes. Like he's had a bunch of stuff I need even. Like, the student has become the master. Like I got to buy snakes from Lucas now. Like you're going to make a decent chunk of snake money. It's like, pay off all your debts and your car loans and get out of debt and all that. That's all great. But set like $6,000 aside and go to Australia. It'd be the best thing you ever did, dude. You go. Australia's like great for the destination herping. It's not as bad as like New Guinea is. It's like in that you can go find pythons from an air conditioned car in a lot of places. You can drink the water and not worry about getting sick. Like you're not.
But like, I mean, he goes and he goes to the Northwest Cape and drives between the Northwest Cape and Derby and goes chasing womas and fucking black-headed pythons on 80 Mile Beach. Like it will literally change his, to get in there and feel it,
Don't know, like they don't understand that thrill of like I go road cruising around here and stuff. I go with my kids. I might go tonight. Like I take my kids out and go look and catch local snakes and stuff. That's one thing. But there's like a 2-meter black-headed python on the road. It's literally take up almost the entire width of the road. It's like, whoa! It's like that's an olive python or something. It's freaking amazing. Like it's such a thrill. It's like seeing these things and appreciating them in a box. You remove them from the context. They are just a part of a big ecosystem. And when you look at them in that tub or that cage, that's cool. But you're just looking at one little piece in isolation. When you find that thing in the wild doing what it's supposed to be doing out, and you can feel the heat and the humidity if you're up north or whatever it is, and you can see the stars and the landscape and all of it in its proper context, it's fucking magical, man.
But sitting there like that time of the afternoon or that right on dusk, right, where you're sitting there and it's that that shit time where it's too bright for night yet, but it's too dark for your day stuff, right? So it's right on that sort of thing. And you sit there and you wait 20 minutes or whatever, and you watch the sun come down, and it's this cathartic moment, and you've got this excitement of what the nights are going to bring. But at the same time, you're sitting there going, you're hearing the bugs. You heard the birds stop, and now you're hearing all the bugs starting. Everything's sort of ramping up, and you've got this tension and this excitement coming as to what are you going to see tonight. And sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's fucking shit, but you never really know what you're getting yourself in for that night. And it's that thrill of the unknown. I suppose.
At any moment, something awesome could happen. Do you ever play golf? It's like playing golf. I'm terrible. I've only played a few times, and I'm absolutely dreadful at it. I have no idea what I'm doing, but you're playing golf and you're teeing off, and you could just whiff it and make a divot like 9 times in a row. But that one time when you hit the shit out of it, it goes flying like, yeah, it's like that. It's like you can go out for hours and you find nothing. But when you find something, like instantly forgotten, that thrill. It's like, I think that people need to get out more.
We
turn on
we
the
had
TV,
that
nerds, and go outside. Like, it's like go out.
Last year like that was it when we were in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, right? And we sort of had this morning. We were running around looking for adders, and I was like, right, okay. And I'm like, literally, we must have looked like we'd lost our fucking car keys or something.
People kept staring at us and pointing.
we're walking through this place that someone had put us onto that said, hey, there's a lot of adders here if you go at the right time. We're like, all right, cool. So we're going there. And we're literally walking back and forth, walking on these little trails, seeing nothing. And, it's a beautiful sunny day, but it was 4 degrees too cold, right? And, we didn't know that it was too cold. But, eventually, on the last sort of walk through, I see this little thing move in the grass. I'm like, shit, put my fucking hand down, fold the grass over, and then start picking through the grass. And then I see the belly scales, and I'm like, it's a fucking adder. And I was shaking with excitement. I was so happy to find it.
I'll send you the photos. God, they were bad.
Bad. Real though, like there's nothing like it. You're just like high five and everybody, woo! It's like, love it. Like it's.
And people are looking at you like, what are you fucking doing? Like, it doesn't matter.
I think people tend to take for granted what's in their own backyard, but then you go to somewhere else and it's like, oh, it's all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've come to the Pacific Northeast there, Northwest, and to see a northern Pacific rattlesnake would be amazing. To see a northern rubber boa would be amazing. To see a fucking salamander walking across the road would be amazing. 2 of each of those in the last 48 hours. I've got a little spot. It's like 10 minutes from my house where I've caught 6 species of snake on this one road. It's like it's a really short little stretch. Yeah. But I found in 2 successive nights, I found a rattlesnake each night and a baby, like newborn rubber boa each night. Found some gopher snakes, and it's close enough. I go get a Mountain Dew, take my kids out. They're 16 and 18 now. It's something fun to do, and you never know what you're gonna find. I find weird mammals and stuff like porcupines and stuff sometimes. Like there's kind of moose, like just all kind of badger, like this weird mole in the road. You ever seen a mole? You don't have I've never seen a mole. No.
They're mostly blind, so they're like crossing around the road, but then your headlights hit them and they freak out because they can't see hardly at all, and they're just like running in circles and they don't know what to do. They're all confused. A mole, even late night driving through the woods and through the country in Australia, you see all kinds of weird I've seen multiple echidnas just out and about.
Well, we're walking,
just sitting in the middle of the road. Like, what are you doing? Like,
we were walking through Germany, right? And we're literally walking down. So where our hotel was to where the Chimera bookshop was about a 500-meter walk, if that, right? So we're wandering down, and as we're wandering down, I've looked across, and here's a red squirrel. Right, and it's just run up, it's grabbed a fucking nut and then disappeared and fucked off, right? And my mind's just gone whoosh. And I'm like, it's a fucking squirrel. And Ty's in the shop, and she's looked, I go, there's a squirrel. the people in there are like, what are you talking about? Like, it's a fucking rat. Don't worry about it. It's just a normal thing. I'm super excited because it's a squirrel, right?
So we've gone running out to try and see it, and people are like, they're pests. We cut down our trees so they don't come in our yards. And we were like, oh my God, we kill for a squirrel.
And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, yeah, it must be like a brush-tailed possum here or a fucking eastern grey kangaroo or something like that. It's like, yeah, it's just a kangaroo. Don't worry about it.
I run into one possum in all my trips to Australia, and it was no, two, but one of them I was like in downtown Darwin, like in town, and I was like, there's people on the street corners. It was kind of at night, and they're like selling whatever they were selling, street merchants and whatnot. And there's like a temporary like wall they'd set up between these little stalls. And I look up, it's like right here, looking at me right in the eye. It's just kind of sitting there all creepy looking at me. Like, that's a decent sized animal to be looking at you like that. Like
yeah, and we're all ignoring it. And you're sitting there going, oh, I really want to take a photo.
The same night went by, and there's like a bus station in Darwin, and there was like a tree by the bus station that had, it was just, must have had 50 flying foxes in this tree. Just right there in the middle of town. These giant ass bats just sitting there. Like, that's cool.
Making a lot of noise and stinking up the place, and you sit there and go, bloody hell, flying foxes, you know?
Oh yeah, like people, they don't. You always take for granted like these flocks of cockatoos. Everybody oohs and ahs, and everyone's annoyed by them out there. Like, I remember landing at the airport, and I got to my rental car in Alice Springs, and there was probably 300 rose-breasted cockatoos, like a whole flock of them. They're just everywhere. These are like a couple $1,000 a piece birds here. Like, and there's like 300 of them. They're just everywhere. They're like pigeons. There's millions of them. Like, just crazy.
You got a question here, Nick?
I have not seen a giant Pacific salamander.
Right.
You have to go looking for those specifically most of the time. Ryan has gone and found them. And I think I went one time, but we didn't actually find any. So I need to probably find one of those. The Pacific Northwest of the U.S. is not the best place to be a herper. There's stuff, but it's not like, I don't know.
If you like chordates, though, like you've got some pretty good chordates up there. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, on the other side, I live on the dry redneck side. Of the state.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you could co-author with anyone, who would it be?
Co-author with anyone, who would it be? That is a tough question. I don't know. It's hard to answer because, like, if you don't account for like personality and whatnot, because, you know, I don't know, sometimes like how well, if you have co-authors, like you need to have a good rapport with that person, a good working relationship at a professional level to come out with a good product. And sometimes you can have a mismatch personality wise, even if they're on the same page, what you want to do, it doesn't always gel right. So I don't know. I wasn't prepared for that. The answer is Scott, I'm told by Lance Kirk. We'd be arguing about the Clarkii species of Cymalia endlessly.
We would certainly. It would be a spirited conversation on many of things, I think.
And I don't think you're willing to do what it takes to calm him down either, Nick.
Right? Oh my God.
I think it's one of those things, right? You sit there and you go, would you like to write with this person or whatever? You can respect the shit out of somebody and not want to write with them. Yeah,
it's toughy. It's tough with co-authors. You really gotta. I mean, I've done a lot of work with Justin, and Justin and I mean, I've known him for a long time. We're not like super good buddies or anything. We have a good working relationship at that professional level. The amount of revisions, it's like we've done it so many times now that it doesn't have to go back and forth as much. We just kind of, our writing styles are so synced up that you just kind of, even your first pass is fairly close to where you want to be. And it's very efficient in that regard. And then we both have kind of the same sort of mindset as to kind of the tone and tenor of what we want to produce.
I must admit, that is the beauty of your books. The stuff that you guys have written together, it's almost difficult to determine who has written which chapter.
That's the point. That was the plan. It's like I think a book
Ah.
should speak with one voice, a singular one voice. You should not be able to tell who wrote this and who wrote that. That's why it just doesn't go back and forth. Somebody has to write the first pass of everything, I suppose, but it goes back and forth enough times until everybody's happy or nobody's happy, and there you go. it's like so eventually the language usage, because everybody has their own little like catchphrases and little idiosyncrasies and linguistic sort of things they tend to say, and even if they're not realizing it, but the other person will catch it, and it just I think it's I think having a co-author is good if you have a good one. So I'd write a book with Scott and you guys. I'd work on something with you guys.
Hang on, he said we're not taking on any more work at the moment.
Not this fucking
Right? There's always more work.
Yeah. You got any advice for the inspiring authors out there?
Don't be afraid to try. That'd be my advice for just about everything in life, though. I had a conversation I'll never forget, and it was about 2008. I went to the NARBC show in Arlington, Texas. Not to sell snakes, just to hang out. I had friends down there, stayed with my friend Sean. Met my friend Michael Pinnell down there, and I'd never hung out with those guys in person. So I flew down just to hang out for a few days. And I had this, like, after the show, I told him my giant plan. Like, it was like, which admittedly was a bit naive and maybe a bit arrogant for sure. But I just pointed out, I said, look, in every sector of the hobby and in life in general, there's always like one or two people that kind of become the guy for whatever the thing is, that top tier guy. I go, that's usually an organic process that eventually just happens. I go, I'm just going to make myself the guy rather than waiting around to be the title of the man to be bestowed upon me. I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. And at the end of D, I'm going to be the man. I'm just going to do that. And part of it is that I'm going to write this big ass book on carpet pythons because nobody did it before. And I just did those things. I just did. And I think they probably all just thought I was talking out of my ass because people tend to do that. But I think
a lot of people say they're going to do something.
I'm going to do and pursued it. It's like waiting around for someone to bestow something upon you is nuts. If you want it, go out and get it. Go out and do it. Waiting around like it's like I wanted to write a book, and then I was like, should I be the one to write a book? And I'm like, if I don't write this book, who's going to write this book? Anybody? It's like I have to write this book now, or someone else is going to do it. And what's that going to look like? It's like if you want to do it, do it. Don't be intimidated by it. It doesn't even matter. You write a book on carpet pythons. I don't care. Do it. If that's what you're into, do it. Pursue it. Most people have dreams and aspirations and hopes of things they want to accomplish or see and do. And most people, they fail to achieve that thing because they never even try. There's no shame in if you tried to do a thing and you failed, but you went for it and it just didn't work out, but you went for it. I think it's a much sadder thing when you don't even try at all. You just fail because you just never even tried. You just let other people, you listen to all those people. Well, I'm sure someone in your guys' lives, when you told them, we're going to write a book, somebody probably told you not to do it or tried to salt you down, didn't they? There's always that person who tells you, it's like, you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't breed snakes.
Too much work.
You can't be a professional reptile breeder. You can't write a book. And the reason is always the same. It's because they had hopes and dreams and things that they want to do with their lives that they didn't even try. And they failed because they didn't even try. And so if you pursue your dream and you're successful, then they have to take a long, hard look in the mirror at themselves why they didn't even try. So it's easier to salt you down and discourage you than to acknowledge that they didn't even try to pursue what they were passionate about. So anybody wants to try it, do it.
I think there's two parts to it too, right? You can try, right? But if you fail, it doesn't matter either.
You tried.
If you had a crack at it, and
you went for it.
You've given it a crack. It is what it is, right? But we get about people that want to do a career in reptiles and all the rest of it. I ask two questions to them and go, well, do you want to never have to work a day in your life and maybe have to do a whole heap of things that you may not necessarily want to do? Or alternatively, do you want to do a job that you don't necessarily like, make enough money to be able to enjoy the things that you want to do, right? And, we sort of take it, in our particular case, we take a little from column A and a little from column B. I get paid well in a job that I do not fucking like. right? Which pays
Here's where we find out his boss listens in.
which pays the fucking bills, right? Which allows me to be able to do the things that I want to do outside of work, right? And so it's okay. I don't see that as being a failure thing. It just means that I've been happy to sit back and go, right, this is what I'm willing to do for this, to make this. Could I have done it full time? Maybe. Would I have been able to do the opportunities that would I have been able to get the opportunities that we've got now? Maybe not. Maybe we would have got more opportunities. I don't want to live in the fucking past. I want to live in the fucking now and live in the future. And so I'm okay with the decisions I've made to get to where I am now. And would I change anything? Fuck no. Because if you change it, you wouldn't know where you are right now. So
if you like where you are where you are is the sum total of all the decisions you made to get to that point. Yeah. You can't change something, wishful thinking, and change something in the past. You wouldn't be where you are. This is everything you've done, and every choice you made led you to this moment, to this podcast right now. And anything, you can't change anything without changing the outcome.
Me and where we got to this podcast. He didn't want to do the podcast.
I think people don't be intimidated to try. As long as you're not afraid to fail, go for it. Try it. Yeah. Think it through. Don't just willy-nilly try something. Do your homework. And if it is writing a book or writing something, I would strongly suggest find a book that you really enjoy that matches sort of the tone, the tenor, and the type of writing style you want, and just emulate that. You're not ripping somebody's book off. Like
use that as your scaffold.
You can sort of
you want to produce.
Yeah, the Barker's writings, their writing style influenced mine heavily. That's what inspired how I wrote. Just do that. Like just regardless of what the book is or whatever the source is, and you can kind of emulate. You can look at how they structure. You can learn from how this was done, and then you do your own thing. I think I wish more people would try. There's not that many people writing good reptile books.
Well, I mean, look at the amount of people that are keeping corn snakes and the amount of people that are keeping garter snakes and the amount of people that are keeping, all of these fucking various species of fucking reptile out there. Where are the people that are writing their magnus opus on that particular group?
Where's the complete hognose book? Where's that? Yeah. That's a species group that has zillions of people and tens of thousands of animals produced in captivity. It's insanely popular. Where's the book? Now there's more to that. There was somebody writing a book. I will not mention this person's name because I'm not.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
This person done me dirty a long time ago, but they didn't finish the book. And then now someone else who I do know is working on a book on that. And that will be a good book. So there's a light at the end of that tunnel, but it's like, why is it taking this long? Like, it seems like a giant book on all the hognose snakes going in, all that. Doesn't that seem like a book that should already exist? Like,
what about the bearded dragon book?
Already exist. Like,
how is there not a bearded dragon book? It's the most popular kept reptile fucking out there.
Yeah, I think a book covering and as long as you include all the other Pagona species, that'd be awesome. Like that'd be a great book. Like, why is that book not written? Like, somebody needs to write that book. Like, I don't know. I can't write the bearded dragon book though. I'm gonna stick with my wheelhouse. I think there should be an accessible Corallus book on the Corallus genus that is, a really in-depth book on that. That's the thing that needs to exist. That's been bantied around for a bit now. I don't know where we're at with that, but that might be a thing that comes to fruition. But I mean, again, there's a whole species complex that you get a nice tight little package of stuff there that you could do a really good book on. Like a Candoya book, like that would be, although you probably have to write like 3 papers to sort out the incredibly screwed up taxonomy of that group first, because it's all fucking wrong. Get that mess sorted out. Like, and then, but yeah, I'm gonna keep writing books slowly until I die. I think I've already. Yeah,
you want to learn about something, write a book about it. That's for sure. It's the research side of it is so massive. I mean, you will want to try and answer some weird question. You end up reading 15 papers on stuff that's completely unrelated to actually answer that question that was just a throwaway line in the book. It's like a single line on biogeographical barriers or something like that.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you've had to read 15 papers to get to your conclusion in that particular.
Looking through papers on the random molecular clock on two populations of freshwater crayfish in Eyre Peninsula in Western Australia. Like when these crayfish populations last year had a common ancestor and everything to figure out the imbricata split between Eyre Peninsula and West Australia.
Yeah.
Found out one was on acacia. It was on the acacia because their paper is in botanist random molecular clock on estimating the divergence time between the acacia communities on either side of the Null Arbor Plain. And this endless amount of work to answer two lines that no one's going to read. But
people don't get that.
What?
People don't get that though. Like,
I didn't know. I learned so much. I know all this stuff because I wrote those books. Like a lot of this stuff, like I might have had some awareness of, but like you said, the research that you used to drill down so deep to get one little nugget to say something with confidence. It's like oh my God, well, this just happened a couple weeks ago with the Aspidaites book. Because I wrote the evolutionary history and biogeography chapter. So I'm like, what makes Aspidaites Aspidaites? Well, their skulls are complete. Everybody knows that their skulls are completely modified versus all other pythons. Turns out no one ever published that anywhere. That is not a thing. We all just know that. But nobody knows where that came from because it was never actually in a publication. There's nowhere. It doesn't exist. Oh my God. So I had to do a skull morphology analysis. I actually found high resolution CT scans of a black-headed python skull on what's the website and everything. Oh my God. I just looked at it. I'm drawing a blank now, but a friend of mine turned me on to this, and sure enough, they had one. And I'm like, okay. And I'm looking at and I found they had a key because there was a Burmese python. They'd scanned in 3D scans of like a Burmese python skull. It's different universities and academics that did this and contributed to this database. The black-headed python skull, it's just all the images, and you can rotate it in 365 degrees and all that, but nothing's labeled. But the guys who did the Burmese python one labeled all the bones. So I was able to use that to figure out what all the bones were. So I actually made an image that shows all these, you can see, well, these are all shifted forward. They're rounded. They're fused. The skull is flattened. It's like these certain areas are much more robustly built and everything because you're a bulldozer now. And you can see all that. It's like, so now that's actually going to exist in this book. I thought for sure there was some missing paper that, nope, turns out no. I got hold of John Scanlon and he goes, I don't think anybody ever published that. He says the same thing. It's like, everybody just kind of knows it, but he doesn't think anybody actually ever published it.
And you think if someone's going to know, John Scanlon or Mark Hutchins.
Yes, I'd like, okay, like shot in the dark, maybe he'll respond. Like the guy I have cited his papers so much on fossil taxa, anything with fossil pythons in Australia, python and evolution, any of that stuff, his name's on all those papers. He is the guy for that stuff. And it's like, he wrote me like this really, really lengthy response. It must have been an interesting sort of question.
Yeah, well, someone's talking to him about python skulls. It's the sort of thing.
Asking me, he's like, you should do it and publish it. He's like, you should do the analysis and publish it. We are trying to we have somebody that has a vet clinic who is a friend of a friend. So we're actually going to should be high-res images of all these skulls, of blackhead skulls, Woma skulls, and probably a carpet or something, because you have something to comparison to kind of show everything. You got to see these differences and how, because it's really, really a different looking skull. I even made one that showed like a 3-panel show because there's a blind snake. And so I have it's like a Burmese python skull, which is pretty typical python. Then you've got the blackhead skull, then a blind snake. And the blackhead looks closer to the blind snake than the Burmese python. Burmese python looks like if you tried to dig a hole, skull would just fall apart. It's so lightly built in a lot of areas and stuff. And the blackhead skull, it's not quite like a blind snake where it just almost looks like almost one big fused bone now. But you can see it's clearly going in that direction. It's clearly moving in those similar sorts of, with the overall flattening in the back half of the skull, and it's not as reinforcing and buttressing of certain areas and stuff. He's
people assume that black-headed pythons and Woma pythons were basal in the fact that they don't have labial pits. It's like, oh, they must be basal on clade. And, well, no, not really. They actually have a rostral pit that's quite well developed. It just happens to be covered with a fucking scale, so it doesn't fill up.
Genetically, they are no more basal than any of the rest. They all. No. It seems like you had one ancestral python that makes it into the region, and then it just explodes and radiates into everything all at once. From one becomes everything in a adaptive radiation happens very quickly. So the Aspidites are no more different than a carpet is from an Antaresia is from a Siamese. It's all in that initial burst of diversification. I did appreciate when you gave me your thoughts on that, the little behavioral thing. I never would have noticed that about them. And so that's definitely in there. That picture will go in there. That you're talking about, hold their head up like this. Yeah, so it's like heat pit's useful.
But you go back and you look at your blackheads and you look at your womas, and you'll see them do that.
I've seen them do it for years and years and years, but never. And I've known they had a rostral heat pit for years, but for some reason, my brain never linked that. Yeah, that's
A and B never got to see.
It's angled like at 15 degrees of the ground. So if you want to actually see what's in front of you, you got to crank your head up like this. Yeah. Otherwise, you just look at the ground. But it has to be that way, because if it wasn't, it'd be getting jammed with sand and stuff. So protect the structure, angle it under, and then just hold your head up like that. I never made the behavioral connection to the anatomy. So that observation is 100% in that chapter now.
Yeah, well.
It comes in handy every now and then.
I'll have to send you guys a copy of the book, because I can't write a book without at least a dozen pictures from Scott. So. It's like, I've never done you guys a podcast. I would like to thank you guys both. Like, over the years, you guys have been very supportive of my writing efforts. I have never, every single thing since the earliest times, you guys have always been very generous with time and with observational data and pictures for everything I've ever worked on. Like, your name's in everything I've ever done. It's like, because you've always been there helping out, and I do appreciate that.
Oh, look, we appreciate the friendship. It goes back the other way as well. And, it's always good to be able to, I mean, we disagree about certain things and all the rest of it, but you can have robust disctions about
those are philosophical things. Like, where is how different do you have to be a different species?
Yeah.
There is no right or wrong answer. That is a philosophical question. There is no hard answer. So we are both right and we are both simultaneously wrong, because there's no actual answer to that.
100%.
You can draw that line in a different place and I draw that line. It doesn't matter. It's because there's no rules on where the lines are supposed to be. So we're both right and we're both wrong. But that's
we're all making, as I was talking to Hal Cogger about it years ago, and Hal said to me, he goes, we're all just trying to put a fucking square peg in a round hole. And it just depends on, at the end of the day, we're making these arbitrary decisions on where this line is or where this line isn't. The animals know where they want to be. It doesn't necessarily fit what we want to label them sometimes.
There's actually another dimension to it than that even. People think it's where and what, but it's also when. Like, the when, the temporal range also matters too. It's like, well, how long have these been separated? Because everything's evolving into, I mean, there's young species and old species, and the older species are really diverged at a genetic level and maybe phenotypically. And then you have a younger species that are only more recently diverged. They haven't split and they haven't gone quite as far away from their relatives. What point do you draw? What's a young species and what's just the same species? Where's that line is where it gets murked. When it's really, that a lion and a tiger are two different species. Yeah, okay, those are old species. We're not always arguing that, but like, is an Asiatic lion a different species than an African lion? Those are closer together. Is a gorilla and chimpanzee are obviously old lineages, but a bonobo and a chimpanzee are much more recently diverged. These sorts of like where you draw that line, when it stops becoming a population of two populations of one thing, and a young species on the other. The rules are useless. There is no rules. There's no where do you draw that line. Turns out wherever you want.
We just need to move this on because we're pretty sure that this restream kicks us out at 3 hours. Just not the time.
All right. Then we got to do some rapid fire questions here.
Right, so two things. So the first thing we need to do is we'll do the misogyny question as we always do. Have you ever experienced misogyny within the hobby or witnessed it from your friends, I suppose?
No. I will say that when I was first getting the hobby, that like female herpers were kind of like black herpers. There weren't very many. It was a pretty rare thing to see. Very rare. There's a few notable exceptions, but you didn't see nearly as much, female participation in the hobby. That could not be more different now. It is like maybe not quite at parity, but the number of people of more diverse ethnic backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, and women in the hobby is just exponentially more now. It's at least one out of every 3 snakes I sell is to a woman. At least, maybe more than that.
I think it's
really
it's increased the knowledge as well, and different ways of looking at things and different ways of dealing with problems as well is fantastic. So to see that shift in population of herpers has been fantastic.
It has been a huge change in the 30 years I've been in the hobby.
Yeah.
Huge.
All right, 60 seconds under the basking spot. Swag it or stay in a hotel?
Swag. The harder it is, the more it feels like it's earned.
I don't know. At 50, my back's like, no, hotel.
I'm right there. I'm 53 this year. So,
tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Sleep on the right side or the left side of the bed?
Left side.
Android or Apple?
What?
Android or Apple? Accomplice or ringleader?
Ringleader.
I was going with ringleader, yeah. Ebook or old-fashioned book?
Old-fashioned book.
Are you a planner or do you prefer spontaneity?
I plan to a limited amount, but you got to leave a little room for spontaneity because no one wants to overplan everything. You got to leave a little wiggle room for what you can't expect.
Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Introvert or extrovert?
Extrovert.
Call or text?
Call. I'm 50.
Yeah.
I'll just call you and talk to you like a normal person.
Would you rather be able to fly or have super strength?
Boy, that's tough. As much time as I spend in the gym, I'm gonna have to go with fly though. Still, that'd be pretty rad.
Tidy or messy?
What? Depends on what we're talking about, I guess. Like
Optimist or realist?
Realist for sure.
And does pizza go? Oh, does pineapple go on a pizza?
I don't draw a hard line there. I don't ever order pineapple on pizza, but I won't hate you if you do. But I personally don't order it. It's enjoyable, I guess. It's not bad, but if I'm an indulgent pizza, I'm not ordering pineapple on my pizza.
All right. We're definitely going to have to do another episode at some point in time down the track because between the two of us, we have 100% got sidetracked, but I think it's been a really interesting discussion.
Every time I ever talk to you, Scott, this is what always happens. We just get going off on some tangent.
Well, it's interesting tangents, I suppose.
We have similar career and life and age and everything. There's a lot of continuity there. So we've shared experience. So it's just two grumpy old dudes complaining mostly. But,
well, I only usually hear one side. So yes, it is.
Couple old gray beards complaining.
Yeah, well, I'm getting whiter and grayer. You know, you're maintaining your color.
So. What are you talking about? Like you, I would. Are you kidding me? I would kill to have your flowing mane of gray hair. Great. I love that.
No, don't worry, man. She's getting it's getting thinner. That's for sure.
Thinner, but I mean, I've been bald forever. Like,
yeah,
I've been shaving my head bald for over 20 years. I've killed that hair.
If it's going on your terms.
100%.
If it's going on your terms.
I think that's why you perpetually wear a baseball cap.
I would absolutely, in a heartbeat, have hair again.
Yeah.
So what's the one takeaway that you'd like the audience to get from this episode, Nick?
Pursue your dreams, whether that's going on that trip to Australia and going herping, writing that book, do the thing. I don't know what the thing is. It's different for everybody. Whatever your thing is, do that thing. Your life is short. You could be dead tomorrow. You are not guaranteed anything. You are here now. Go for it now. What are you waiting for? Like, I mean, There are people that are going to get to the end of their life and they're going to look back and they're not going to have any good stories at all. Like, get out there, put down your phone, turn off the TV, and go outside, you nerds. Get out there and live and do some stuff. Quit acting like and telling yourself you always have another time to do it, that you're going to live forever, because you're fucking not. You're going to die soon, relatively soon. We're all going to be gone. What did you do with that time you had? Get out there and get after it. Whatever is important to you to pursue that thing.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And don't have someone tell you can't fucking do it.
Oh, you cut those people out of your life. You don't listen to people tell you can't do stuff. You get out there and do it. Prove them wrong. Get out there and do it. Chase your dreams. Get after it.
Is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to say before we close out?
I don't know. I mean, I tend to run off of the mouth a lot, so
skip that one.
Yeah,
Where
right.
can our listeners find you?
What?
Where can our listeners find you?
I'm the easiest guy in the world to find. I'm always on Facebook, where all the old people hang out on social media. My business page is Inland Reptile. I actually have an actual website that I actually update all the time, which is kind of a quaint notion now too. But I'm the easiest guy in the world to find. I'm very, very a bit too accessible, as we might have said earlier. But yeah.
Have you made the jump over to Instagram as well, or are you just still sitting on Facebook?
He has Instagram.
Sort of, but not on purpose. Like, there was a point when Facebook bought Instagram.
Yeah.
And I had insomnia one night. It's like 3 a.m, and it just kept popping up. Do you want to start an Instagram page? Do you want to start an Instagram page? Do you want to start an Instagram page? So at 3 o'clock in the morning, in a bout of insomnia, I set up an Instagram page, then forgot about it for like 2 years. Then I logged in out on a whim, and then I had a bunch of messages from people who thought I was a jerk because I never responded from years earlier. So now I occasionally post on Instagram. Now, but I have to make myself do it.
Yeah, I do like the fact that there's a lot more photos and less ads on Instagram than there is on Facebook. But Facebook's just easier because I'm old.
There's less ads on Instagram.
Yeah, well, I thought there was. Anyway,
it's all ads now.
I post there sometimes if I remember to, but it's kind of, I don't know. I think social media has been bad for all of us as a species. I think we are more connected than we've ever been, and nobody's saying anything of consequence or value. It's all trivial bullshit. It damages relationships. It's like having a virtual friend on the internet is not the same as going over to your buddy's house for a barbecue, is it? No, it's not. Like, we're not supposed to be like that. We're not supposed to be isolated by technology. We're supposed to be amongst our friends and our family and doing things and having real experiences in the real world. And this kind of isolates us. We just live in this little fake virtual world that we create for ourselves. It isn't real. It's like
It can be good for something like this, but I think people need to learn a cutoff line for it.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's I use it all the time, but I hate it too. It's like it's like Walmart over here. It's like I feel like I feel like a little part of me dies every time I go in there, but I'm addicted to cheap crap, so I keep doing it. It's like the morph thing. It's like I kind of want to hate morphs, but I also like breeding morphs. I'm very conflicted about some of these things. The issues aren't totally black and white, but I think we'd do better as a society, and people would be more happy if they had more experiences in the real world with their real friends and go out and do some things than just sitting there talking about things that you're not doing on the internet. Go out and do something. Go flip some rocks. Go cruise some roads. Look for some snakes with your buddies. For real. Do that.
Make some memories.
Yeah.
Make some memories. Exactly. Make some memories. What are we doing here? I mean, that's it. Have some adventures, man. Like, life's too short not to have adventures. And it's not even that hard to have adventures, really. You can get out and go do some stuff.
100%.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for listening to the Cold-Blooded Contributions podcast. The Cold-Blooded Contributions podcast is proudly sponsored by Midwest Tongs. For over 40 years, the Midwest Tongs team has provided the highest quality snake handling tools made in the USA. Made by professionals for professionals. Visit Midwest Tongs at www.tongs.com. Massive thank you to our guest, Nick. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. All notes, discuss, all webs. Oh, fuck.
It's live too. She doesn't usually fuck this up either.
I didn't stick to my notes. This is why I have notes.
Usually we'll be releasing our podcast monthly, so make sure you follow us so you don't miss out on an episode. Give the Cold-Blooded Contributions podcast a like on Facebook so you don't miss any updates, giveaways, or guest announcements. The links discussed in today's podcast will be in the show notes. Always remember to trust your creativity. It's intelligence having fun.